The clock struck 7, its cuckoo silent, leaving only the grim red light of a blood-soaked room. Then, a metallic bird emerged, its sharp call piercing the eerie silence. "It's me," a voice confirmed, and Ryu Kang-min, the feared one, touched his ear. 7 p.m., Korean time, he stated, his profile stark against the red glow. Another target was eliminated, another life ended in the grim, violent silence. A shelf of cigarettes stood, eerily out of place in the blood-stained room. Any inconveniences in Korea, he wondered, his gaze falling upon a blood-stained school uniform jacket. The name tag, Ryu Kang-min, stood out, marking his cover as a student of Anil High School. With a dark, playful smirk, Ryu Kang-min admitted his biggest inconvenience was the inability to legally buy cigarettes. Ah, the withdrawal, Ryu Kang-min thought, feeling an urge as primal as sucking on a pacifier. He regretted not packing his suitcase full of them when he first came in. Korea's warm hospitality vanished, he mused, remembering a time when even elementary schoolers ran errands for their dad's smokes. He looked upwards with a slight smile, acknowledging how much the country had changed in just 10 years. Now, he observed, it felt like a futuristic city. Expensive cars filled the streets everywhere he looked. A woman clicked her car door shut near a red sports car. The standard of living, the environment, even the way people live, Ryu Kang-min thought, observing a woman with a phone and coffee. So much had changed, he concluded, watching a group of people on the street. He noted something big that certainly wasn't there before. As a shutter clicked, Ryu Kang-min playfully wondered if the giant duck had grown along with the country's status. A lot has changed, he thought, observing the familiar cherry blossoms, but these are still the same. A little boy sprinted past Ryu Kang-min, excitedly calling for his mom and asking about the duck. The boy, held by his father, then demanded duck soup, and the father assured him a reservation was already made. Ryu Kang-min looked down, contemplative amidst the falling petals. Another young boy looked up in awe, his face alight with wonder. "Popcorn is falling from the trees," the boy exclaimed, only to be gently corrected by his mother about the cherry blossoms. As the boy continued munching, his father offered to take him to the theater for real popcorn and a movie. The boy paused, contemplating his choice. He then loudly declared he wanted to see the female professor's secret lesson, causing his mother to tease the embarrassed father. Ryu Kang-min walked alone, a solitary figure beneath the blooming, petal-strewn trees. A subtle expression crossed his thoughtful face. A device beeped loudly, making Ryu Kang-min react with a surprised question. "Geez," he muttered, pulling at his jacket, annoyed that he couldn't even reminisce for a moment longer. His hand held a military-style device, its repeated beeps signaling a shift in focus. "Time to get to work," Ryu Kang-min declared, his expression serious and determined. A cigarettes sign, with a prominent, "Not for sale to minors," warning, glowed in the sunset. "Wow," Ryu Kang-min uttered, surveying the vast residential area at sunset. He stood with his back to the viewer, looking up at a building with a supermarket sign. A supermarket, huh, he mused, now this feels like a place where real people live. The interior of the supermarket was dimly lit and slightly messy, a stark contrast to the modern city. He cautiously entered, calling out, "Excuse me. Is anyone here?" he asked, standing alone amidst the shelves. No one, he wondered, then decided to wait while looking around the shop. He reached for a cigarette pack, considering whether he should have a smoke. An unseen voice contemplated. A man with graying hair emerged from among the cup noodles, questioning if a student was allowed to smoke. "Ah, there you are," Ryu Kang-min said calmly, claiming he was just running an errand for his dad. With a smirk, Ryu Kang-min held up a fancy black credit card. "Put it on a 36-month installment plan, please," he sarcastically requested, placing the card on the counter. The man's face tightened, his expression turning suspicious. "I'm a customer too, you know," the man snapped, causing Ryu Kang-min to quickly apologize. Ryu Kang-min, holding a bag of snacks, smirked, explaining he'd gotten confused because the man looked like K-drama shopkeepers. "No way," the man retorted, now serious, revealing he too had recently returned from abroad. "Oh, what a coincidence," Ryu Kang-min noted, a sentiment echoed by the man. "And by pure coincidence." Ryu Kang-min's eyes, now shadowed, held a sinister smirk. "You worked in the same line of work as me." The man began to grasp the implication, his eyes widening in shock, just as Ryu Kang-min attacked with a swift strike. Gripping his utility knife, the man realized his opponent was also a contract killer from abroad. "Are you here to kill me?" Ryu Kang-min asked, his expression intense, holding his own utility knife. "You catch on quick," the man replied with a sly smirk. "Traitor to the organization," the man snarled, lunging forward with a guttural growl. He continued his attack, accusing Ryu Kang-min of killing members and fleeing. "I'm here to eliminate you," the man declared, striking fiercely. Ryu Kang-min was violently thrown backward, slamming against a wall. Items lay scattered and blood-stained on the supermarket floor, testament to the destructive impact. "That card you have," Ryu Kang-min said, his gaze serious, questioning its presence. He began to explain how the organization issued different colored cards based on an agent's rank. "And among them," he continued, "the black card held a special significance. Is a card given only to the highest-ranking agents." The man, kneeling amidst the debris, looked surprised, admitting he'd never even heard of such a card. "To think an agent as young as you was issued a black card," Ryu Kang-min said with a smug smile, sarcastically adding that he was flattered to receive a compliment from a veteran like him. The man's eyes narrowed into a fierce, intense gaze. "Where's your weapon?" the man demanded, as Ryu Kang-min, confused, stretched his arm. "Did you seriously come here empty-handed?" the man scoffed, as Ryu Kang-min, hands up, claimed it was confiscated at airport security. The man expressed disbelief at such sloppiness from a black rank agent, reaching for something at his side. Expertly, the man demonstrated rule number 1 of assassination by snapping off a fresh blade segment. "A weapon," the man declared, his intense eye glinting, startling Ryu Kang-min. "Rule number 2 of assassination," Ryu Kang-min countered, swiftly throwing a small, sharp object. "A surprise attack," he finished, as the man was caught off guard, mid-movement. The man was violently struck, thrown backward amidst flying debris. A red bottle cap spun through the air, splattering crimson. "Why?" the man groaned, his face showing confusion and pain. "Why did you betray the organization?" the man roared, gripping Ryu Kang-min's throat, surprising him. "An agent of your caliber," the man thought, as Ryu Kang-min listened intently, holding the utility knife. "Must have enjoyed countless benefits," he pondered, "so why did you betray them?" The man's mouth and chin set in a resolute expression. "A tin can," he stated cryptically. "A tin can?" Ryu Kang-min questioned, as the man continued his explanation. "Every single day felt like being trapped inside a tin can," the man explained, angrily pushing Ryu Kang-min away. He launched another dynamic attack, Ryu Kang-min deftly dodging. The man struck with an object, likely the tin can, creating a powerful impact that Ryu Kang-min deflected. The tin can shattered into pieces on the blood-stained floor. "That's a nice metaphor," Ryu Kang-min smirked, holding a piece of the shattered can. He further taunted the man, asking if he'd taken a creative writing class. "Don't you already know?" the man retorted defiantly. The man lunged with a fierce knife attack, which Ryu Kang-min expertly evaded. He furiously attacked, describing his life as a hunting dog for the organization. It was, he cried out, a hellish existence. "I just..." the man began, his eyes wide with desperation. "Wanted to be free," he desperately declared, lunging forward with extended arm. Ryu Kang-min swiftly swung his arm, counter-attacking. The man recoiled, his arm raised defensively against the precise strike. Ryu Kang-min delivered a final, precise strike, causing the man to collapse with a spray of blood. But in exchange for that freedom, Ryu Kang-min said, looking over his shoulder at the fallen man, you must have lost something. The open tin can, now dripping with blood, symbolized the man's shattered existence. I did, the man confirmed, blood on his neck and chest, just one thing. My family, he revealed, his face grim. He explained how the organization had killed his family as punishment for his betrayal. Ryu Kang-min's eyes reflected a moment of contemplation. The man explained how the organization tracked and surveilled agents' families. To prevent betrayal, he snarled, lunging forward with a fierce attack. As hostages, the man finished, as Ryu Kang-min dodged, sending a bag of flour flying. Ryu Kang-min delivered a powerful kick, sending the man flying amidst dust and debris. The family photograph, now slightly out of focus, lay on the table. Even if you regret it now. The man's voice trailed off, implying it was too late. The man fell backward, violently struck by Ryu Kang-min. Are you saying it's too late? Ryu Kang-min questioned, looking down at him. The man breathed heavily, exhausted and injured. As the price of freedom, the man declared, I had to pay with my family's lives. That was a cheap price to pay, the man stated, lying on the floor with a terrifying, maniacal smile, shocking Ryu Kang-min. Ryu Kang-min's eyes widened in disbelief and horror. He questioned if the man intentionally sacrificed his family. Every single one of you, all of you. The defeated man began, causing Ryu Kang-min to question him. You all spout the same annoying nonsense. The man remembered the store, a place he had visited often, and its owner, a longtime acquaintance. That day, however, the owner had looked as if he were about to collapse under the strain. Concerned, the man had told him to rest. Why don't you close up and get some rest, he had gently asked. And the owner's reply, the man recalled, had resonated deeply. If I rest, the old man had said, a warm smile on his face, how will I feed my family, my friend? A truly good man, right? The man said, back in the dim, red supermarket, the cuckoo clock visible. He described the store owner as a dedicated family man, working himself to the bone for his bedridden wife and naive children. The man concluded his description, detailing the owner's life of sacrifice in a tiny shop, all for his family. Ryu Kang-min stood, his expression unreadable, looking out through the glass door into the strong red light. What an idiot, Ryu Kang-min scoffed, looking at the dead man whose head was violently smashed. That's your reason for killing him? Ryu Kang-min pondered, his expression reflective. It's just so annoying, Ryu Kang-min stated, looking away in frustration. Sacrificing for family, and talking as if he's happy, Ryu Kang-min thought, his eyes glowing red with angry distortion. You work to protect your family too, don't you? The man on the floor challenged Ryu Kang-min. Ryu Kang-min's back stiffened in surprise. That's why you've kept going all this time, the man continued, that's why you still live as the organization's hunting dog. Ryu Kang-min's eyes glowed red as he leaned in, preparing to give advice as a senior. Family is a leash, Ryu Kang-min stated coldly. A small sound broke the silence as Ryu Kang-min maintained his cold, determined demeanor. A violent explosion of debris erupted. Ugh, the man grunted, clutching his chest, stating that if he had to live his whole life bound by a leash. Ryu Kang-min maintained his focused gaze, observing the man's blurred struggle. Ryu Kang-min kicked the man, sending him violently flying backward. I'd rather cut my own throat, the man defiantly declared, lying on the floor, his face bloodied. Ryu Kang-min was surprised to see the man, who had been on the floor, now standing defiantly. Oh, what should we do? The man asked with a confused, pained expression, as a small sound emitted. The man contemplated the act of cutting a throat. He held up a tiny, bloody blade, sarcastically commenting that it was a bit too small. What? Ryu Kang-min asked, looking shocked and confused. The man looked at his bleeding, empty hand, shocked as he realized his blade was gone. How did I do it? Ryu Kang-min smirked, holding the man's missing blade. He explained how he had disarmed the man, criticizing him for not keeping track of his weapon. The third rule of assassination, Ryu Kang-min declared, holding the blade piece with a smirk, don't throw things carelessly. The man's utility knife and a larger knife lay discarded on the blood-splattered floor. Gah, the man gasped, collapsing in agony, lamenting his defeat by a single piece of a box cutter. From the very beginning, was he playing with me, the man wondered, but Ryu Kang-min calmly denied it. Ryu Kang-min explained his motive, he only wanted to see if there was any other motive behind the man's betrayal. I meant no ill will, Ryu Kang-min claimed, a subtle smirk on his serious face. The man, his face bleeding and his hand clutching his neck, expressed disbelief at Ryu Kang-min's relaxed demeanor. The man concluded Ryu Kang-min had been sent by the organization, but Ryu Kang-min corrected him. Ryu Kang-min's eyes focused as he began to explain his true reason for coming to Korea. Isn't because of you, Ryu Kang-min asserted, holding the man's head close, shocking him. The man asked, what, in confusion, and Ryu Kang-min clarified that he was just a stop along the way. Ryu Kang-min revealed his main target was very special. Special enough that he had to risk his life for it. You said you wanted freedom, right? Ryu Kang-min asked, his profile serious. The bloodied weapons lay crossed on a puddle of blood, hinting at a grim resolution. I hope you find eternal freedom, Ryu Kang-min said, standing silhouetted in the doorway as the man lay dead. The cuckoo clock, still at 7 o'clock, marked the grim timeline from the blood-splattered wall. The metallic cuckoo bird emerged twice, its calls signaling the end of the event. It's over, Ryu Kang-min confirmed, walking away from the supermarket, a bloodied shirt under the sunset. With a smirk, he lit a cigarette, deeming the sub-target a decent warm-up. Well, I should head out, Ryu Kang-min thought, ready for his next step. His legs moved, carrying him towards where the main target awaited. Ryu Kang-min surveyed the city at sunset, confirming he was heading to his assassination target. He expressed confidence in his mission, but then noted the annoyance of needing a new school uniform for his blood-stained one. Ryu Kang-min looked ahead seriously, anticipating tomorrow's events. For tomorrow marked the true start of the contract killing. The panel showcased the exterior of Anil High School. Don't worry, the narration assured, as students diligently worked in their classroom. He would proceed just as he always had. Quietly, the narration continued, as a girl in the class reacted with surprise. And quickly. Hey, guys, Ryu Kang-min addressed the students, explaining he didn't have an ID yet, while the narration promised he would eliminate the target the moment he found them. Can you bum me a smoke? Ryu Kang-min casually asked in the bright classroom, his smirk echoing the narration's intent to eliminate. A month earlier, a luxurious mansion in the Angelos district stood quietly under the night sky. Ryu Kang-min found himself in a darkly unexpected situation, a gun pressed against his own temple. He wondered why such a private home held a shocking amount of security, surrounded by armed men. Ryu Kang-min brazenly asked Manuel Santos if he would simply walk into his own grave. Manuel Santos, a representative from the Angelos district, appeared visibly tense. Santos calmly acknowledged the grim reality. He pleaded for the release of his family, held hostage by Ryu Kang-min. The terrified child whimpered, clinging to his mother, who trembled while desperately trying to comfort him. Manuel Santos's eyes narrowed with fierce determination, asserting his family's innocence. Ryu Kang-min pondered Santos's demand to release the hostages. With a smirk, Ryu Kang-min agreed, giving them an unexpected nudge. Ryu Kang-min explained his ironclad rule, never harm non-targets, unless they attacked first. He delivered his strict personal creed with a confident, unsettling smirk. Manuel Santos breathed a sigh of genuine relief. But his relief was a feint, as Manuel Santos immediately commanded his men to prepare to fire on Ryu Kang-min. Ryu Kang-min's eyes widened menacingly as he thought Santos's soft thoughts proved him less than a B-grade contractor. Manuel Santos scornfully admitted his initial fear that Ryu Kang-min might have been from Batala. High above the bustling city, the sprawling gold of the Batala Hotel and Casino glittered. This was the Hotel Casino Batala. It was a luxurious hub for the wealthy, dedicated to high-stakes gambling and exclusive clientele. Yet, beneath its opulent facade, this seemingly ordinary casino harbored a secret. Here, a special, ornate table awaited. A man in a suit noted the astounding confidence it took to openly accept contract killings. The blonde woman proudly declared their casino's work was beyond even government interference. The man affirmed the casino's reputation as the best was well-earned, which the woman confidently confirmed. She inquired if the man could truly kill the target, to which he simply replied, naturally. As she shuffled the cards, the woman explained their casino boasted the most elite contractors. She presented a fan deck, inviting a choice. The woman began to explain the contractors' ranks, but the man cut her off, indicating he already knew. His face remained obscured, hinting at secrets untold. The man decisively selected the Spade card. The woman approved, deeming Spade an excellent choice. She warned him that the commission fee for such a choice would be extremely high. The man gestured to an overwhelming display of casino chips, asserting it would be more than enough. Holding up the Spade A, the client demanded the job be done immediately. He then asked for the target's current location. Ryu Kang-min's own rule echoed ominously over a blood-stained table. He calmly lit a cigarette, blood splattered across his face, adding the chilling caveat to his rule. Ryu Kang-min stood amidst the carnage, implying his words had been fully tested and delivered. The mother and child reacted with fresh, profound terror. Ryu Kang-min offered a chilling apology for their husband's demise as he walked away. Standing over Santos's bloodied body, Ryu Kang-min reflected on the future price of his sins. The scene shifted to a peaceful, ordinary school campus bathed in sunlight. A student with glasses began addressing his new classmates. The student, Ryu Kang-min, boldly asked if anyone had a smoke. The teacher reacted with utter disbelief and shock. The frustrated teacher confronted Ryu Kang-min's defiant attitude, demanding he introduce himself, to which Ryu Kang-min calmly complied, identifying himself as the transfer student. Ryu Kang-min offered a polite, if somewhat detached, greeting. He introduced himself as Ryu Kang-min, though his true identity was Spade a contractor. Ryu Kang-min claimed to be from Ch1, a cover for his real origin, Batala, the contract-killing organization. He thought of his parents' desire for him to attend a good college in Seoul, all while secretly planning to use his new role to eliminate a target. For the mission, he had enrolled, disguised as a regular high school student. In this safe country, he knew a conspicuous assassination was impossible. He dismissed his parents' innocent aspirations, focused on using his cover to naturally approach the target. Ryu Kang-min ironically thought he simply wanted to have fun at school. With an innocent smile, Ryu Kang-min greeted his new classmates, harboring the true intent to eliminate his target. The grand casino floor lay empty, its opulence a silent witness. The blonde woman informed the client of the target's South Korean nationality and current residence in Seoul. The man in the suit acknowledged the location, hinting at a looming problem. He revealed a critical problem with the mission, prompting the woman to question further. The client admitted they did not know the target's identity. The woman reacted with disbelief to the seemingly nonsensical revelation, which the man calmly confirmed. He clarified that the client had provided only the target's name, as the woman tapped the papers. He emphasized the complete lack of any other personal details. The woman confirmed the astonishing lack of information, leaning forward in surprise. The man mused on the unusual nature of a target identified solely by a name. Ryu Kang-min's gaze was intense, focused. He found the situation, simply put, interesting. His determined eyes scanned, calculating his next move. Ryu Kang-min confidently asserted that his research was already complete. He stood before what he knew was the target's classroom. The door bore the number 1 to 7. Ryu Kang-min peered into the classroom, sensing an unforeseen problem. The classroom was filled with lounging students, but the one he sought was absent. The empty desk confirmed his suspicions: the target wasn't coming to school. A student confronted Ryu Kang-min in the hallway, asking why he was blocking the way, which surprised Ryu Kang-min. The student launched an upward kick, catching Ryu Kang-min by surprise. The student's leg thwacked violently, seemingly trying to force Ryu Kang-min out of the way. A student went down with a chaotic thump. A female student wondered if the door sensor was broken, while another student coughed on the floor, and a third reacted in surprise. A girl with long black hair watched the scene unfold with a subtle smirk. The student with dark messy hair identified Ryu Kang-min as the transfer student. The student with a tattoo knelt by the fallen student, asking why he was alone. Ryu Kang-min calmly replied he had no friends, while internally considering if it was time for Plan B. Outside, the ordinary school grounds basked in sunlight. Ryu Kang-min inhaled deeply from his cigarette. He exhaled the smoke, a smirk playing on his lips. One student admired his smoking style, while the girl with long black hair found him funny. The student with a tattoo asked if he had indeed moved from Ch1, and Ryu Kang-min confirmed it. The student with a tattoo then challenged him, asking if he knew Lee Sung-won, the notorious top dog of Ch1. Ryu Kang-min paused, recognizing it was time to begin. He confidently spun a tale of knowing Sung-won, describing a drunken farewell, all to craft the Ryu Kang-min persona. The girl was impressed, exclaiming she knew he wasn't ordinary and asking if he was a big deal back in Ch1. Ryu Kang-min modestly downplayed his connection, though the student with a tattoo still saw him as tough. The student with a tattoo, now smiling, extended his hand, offering Ryu Kang-min his first friends in Korea. Ryu Kang-min smirked and accepted the handshake, making these students his first friends in Korea. Ryu Kang-min walked casually with his new classmates as the sun set. He walked ahead, smoking, with two students following close behind. Two students discussed going to an academy, their words causing an annoyed expression to cross Ryu Kang-min's face. A student grumbled with evident reluctance, wishing he didn't have to go. A student reluctantly boarded the shuttle, feeling dragged away, as a female student cryptically told him to come back alive. Ryu Kang-min stood calmly by as the school bus departed. The emblem on his school uniform tie was perfectly straight. His thoughts drifted to his mom and dad. A young Ryu Kang-min huddled in the dark, overwhelmed by fear. A child Ryu Kang-min looked up in pure terror as a man urgently ordered him onto a boat. The child Ryu Kang-min sat rigidly, jolted as if in a moving vessel. Menacing figures declared they were taking the terrified child to Angelo's. The narration pondered how different his life might be, if not for that fateful day. He questioned if his current life was genuinely real, or merely a painstakingly constructed cover. A girl's hands accidentally brushed against Ryu Kang-min's chest. The girl, holding his arm, explained she had almost tripped. She playfully forgot his name, leading to a light-hearted exchange where he corrected her. She asked if he was heading straight home, and he claimed exhaustion from his first day. The girl responded with a knowing, suggestive sound. She asked if he wanted to relax, leaving Ryu Kang-min thoroughly confused. A bright fluorescent light illuminated a room in a suggestive pink hue. The girl smiled, remarking on the cozy lighting. She then commented on the bed's softness, catching Ryu Kang-min by surprise. She asked for his confirmation on the bed's comfort, clothes in hand. She offered the entertainment of TV and games. And for when hunger struck, she hinted at more. Her lips curved into an intensely seductive smile. She concluded her enticing spiel with the promise of delicious food. With clothes discarded on the floor, she challenged him to make his choice. Kneeling over him, the girl asked Ryu Kang-min what he wanted to do first. Ryu Kang-min lay on the bed, utterly horrified, wondering what this truly was. He realized with a sickening jolt that this was bullying, as cameras clicked around him. The surrounding male students erupted in cruel, hysterical laughter. One student mocked Ryu Kang-min's shocked expression, watching a video of his humiliation. Ryu Kang-min looked utterly terrified as another student cruelly suggested he had wet his pants. The girl laughed triumphantly, boasting about her hilarious acting. Ryu Kang-min asked why they were doing this, only for the student with a tattoo to echo the question back. The student with a tattoo tightened his grip, revealing he knew Ryu Kang-min's name and origin, throwing the question back at him. The scene flashed back to Ryu Kang-min's confident, fabricated story about Ch1, whom he claimed had made him drink heavily. The student with a tattoo paused, ready to deliver a crucial revelation. Ryu Kang-min's eyes widened in shock as the student exposed his lie: Ch1 couldn't drink due to a lifelong liver condition. The student gloated, revealing he'd called Ch1, who had no idea who Ryu Kang-min was. The student condescendingly told Ryu Kang-min he made his attempts at a fresh start far too obvious. As the student pointed out the first red flag, asking for cigarettes in class, Ryu Kang-min attempted a flustered explanation. "Too late, dumbass," a male student declared, striking Ryu Kang-min sharply across the face. The male student decreed that Ryu Kang-min would now serve as the class's automatic door during every break. A male student excitedly suggested they finish what they started, covering Ryu Kang-min with a towel, while the girl ominously agreed. "Our dear Kang-min," a student sneered, ripping his shirt violently. His shirt tore open, shockingly revealing a heavily scarred and muscular back. The student with a tattoo stared, utterly surprised and confused. Two male students exchanged confused glances, sensing a shift in the air. A fresh wound marred Ryu Kang-min's ear, stark against his dark hair. His past thoughts echoed, recalling the interesting mission for a target known only by a name. The client slid a document across the table, calling it this request. Ryu Kang-min furiously declined the mission, slamming his hand down with a thud. He angrily demanded if they expected him to kill every person in Korea sharing the target's common name. He recalled the abrupt order to go to Korea. His boarding passes showed his inevitable return to Batala once the job was done. He feared his family's hold might weaken his resolve at the critical moment. His determined eyes reflected the dangerous possibility of his desire for his family leading him to a grave mistake. The Joker card lay atop the stack, a foreboding symbol for both the organization and his family. The client dismissed his concerns, looking intently at Ryu Kang-min. The client then claimed this mission was unlike any Ryu Kang-min had ever undertaken. Batala, therefore, offered an unprecedented reward. The Grand Casino Hall symbolized the ultimate prize, eternal freedom from the organization. A gun clattered to the floor, marking a significant turning point. Ryu Kang-min repeated the word freedom with a mix of disbelief and deep longing. The woman, holding papers, asked hopefully if completing this mission meant no return to Batala. A male student looked on in shock as Ryu Kang-min internally wrestled with the realization that this could be his last mission. The girl gasped in disgust, calling him a bastard, while Ryu Kang-min's inner voice resonated with unyielding resolve to succeed. Ryu Kang-min stood, his shirt open, revealing a heavily scarred, muscular torso, utterly shocking the student. With a determined, sinister smirk, Ryu Kang-min affirmed he had no choice. Ryu Kang-min's ironclad rule echoed as he considered his plan B to get closer to the target. He reiterated his ironclad rule, his scarred physique looming over the surprised student. A student's face was brutally struck, initiating the preparation stage. Brutal impacts echoed as multiple students were violently beaten, blood splattering. The girl watched in wide-eyed horror as the strategy to approach the school's influential figures unfolded. A male student screamed in pure terror, caught in the creation of a persona designed to interest. Standing over a bloodied student, Ryu Kang-min found it difficult to control his strength, as he had effectively baited them into attacking him. Ryu Kang-min commanded, next. Step up, addressing the nervous student with a tattoo. With a menacing expression, Ryu Kang-min pulled up his sleeve, ready to try again. 6 years ago, on Batala's private island, the uninhabited Kamatayan, a brutal training began. 7 tense minutes had already elapsed. Only 3 minutes remained before the final deadline. Bubbles rose ominously from the depths, questioning if anyone was waiting to become shark food. Trainee Ryu Kang-min, submerged and bound, barely registered the persistent bubbles as consciousness slipped away. A pained groan escaped Ryu Kang-min, trainee number 55 of the Batala training facility, as he fought against the bindings. 8 agonizing minutes had passed, and the chains clanked loudly, signaling it was about time for him to act. His lungs burned, the capillaries threatening to burst, as he desperately struggled against the water's embrace. Above the surface, the ocean stretched calmly, belying the struggle below. Gentle waves washed ashore, carrying the remnants of broken chains onto the wet sand. Ryu Kang-min exhaled in pure relief, a tiny octopus resting casually on his hair. He reflected wryly that he had almost served himself as a Korean buffet for the fish. He walked away from the water, his grandmother's memory a bittersweet comfort, relieved it wasn't his time to join her yet. A sigh of exhaustion and relief escaped him as he gazed up at the clear sky. The distinct click of a gun cocking shattered his peace, making Ryu Kang-min snap his head up in shock. The blonde-haired man, smirking, informed Ryu Kang-min that he had exceeded the time limit by 1 minute. Ryu Kang-min braced for death, calling out to his grandmother, as the red octopus on his head wriggled in agitation. Suddenly, seagulls flapped overhead, a brief, beautiful distraction. The Batala flag waved high against the sky, a stark reminder of his unforgiving reality. The blond man exhaled, an amused expression on his face. He insultingly called Ryu Kang-min a grandmother fucker as he stood over him, now bound and disarmed. The blond man acknowledged Ryu Kang-min's professional mindset, admiring his resourcefulness in using surrounding objects to escape a crisis. He then questioned if Ryu Kang-min's unwavering composure, even with a gun to his head, was merely a final struggle before death. Ryu Kang-min slyly smirked, dismissing the idea, it was simple common sense. He revealed his knowledge, the first shot was always a blank, a fake, to prevent accidental misfires, as a tiny octopus eyed the bullet casing. The blond man, now serious, cocked the pistol, stating that from now on, it would be live ammunition. Ryu Kang-min, holding a pistol of his own, intensely confirmed, real bullets, right? The scene shifted to a peaceful South Korea, a vibrant, neon-lit urban night. In a dim bedroom, Ryu Kang-min observed a group of high school students surrounding an unconscious peer. This environment was entirely different from the hell he grew up in. His opponents were mere high schoolers, ordinary and anxious. With an ominous red glow on his hands, Ryu Kang-min rubbed them together, knowing he couldn't just blindly kill them. He adjusted his shirt sleeve, frustrated but committed to adapting his approach to the situation. A male student gulped loudly, his nervousness palpable. Ryu Kang-min initiated his plan, pretending his buttons had fallen off, securing a justification for the ensuing chaos. His strategy was to make it seem like a consensual fight, as he was ostensibly attacked and his shirt buttons scattered. A worried male student lamented his new school uniform, carefully stroking it. Another angry male student prepared to strike with a fire extinguisher, while Ryu Kang-min watched, seemingly unconcerned. He yelled a warning about ending up in a hospital gown as he swung the fire extinguisher with a loud impact. A terrified male student, wide-eyed, stammered a question about medical insurance. Ryu Kang-min smirked, admitting he had no insurance, as white discharge erupted from the fire extinguisher's nozzle. The male student gasped, seeing the fire extinguisher broken on the floor, as Ryu Kang-min declared, Step 2. Ryu Kang-min, claiming generosity, crushed a student's hand, effectively imprinting his presence. He promised a massive payout as he twisted another student's arm, the narration asking if he snapped it. The student reeled backward, overwhelmed by the powerful attack. The impact was meant to sink deep into their consciousness. Two students reacted with wide-eyed shock, pointing at the bed, as the narration identified Ryu Kang-min. A male student screamed in terror at the sight of the pierced bed, solidifying Ryu Kang-min's image as a dangerous target. The female student flinched, terrified by the screaming male student on the bed. Ryu Kang-min, smirking, announced he had one question for them. The male students panicked, one screaming he wouldn't hit a girl, another claiming to be a girl himself. Ryu Kang-min, serious, asked about their other friend, the one they hung out with. He was the held-back student in the next class, the one who never showed up, his empty desk a stark contrast to the busy classroom. As Ryu Kang-min walked away, a male student nervously questioned why he was looking for him. Ryu Kang-min looked back with a stern expression, demanding to know why he shouldn't be privy to that information. The male student screamed in terror. He fled in a panic, running frantically away, leaving the cowering students behind. The terrified student, pressed against the door, screamed that he'd be hit regardless of his answer. A loud impact shook the door. The door creaked open. Ryu Kang-min, towering in the doorway, his scarred chest exposed, assured the student he wouldn't hit him, then menacingly told him to come closer. The male student, now in the bathroom, turned back, utterly confused. He wondered where Ryu Kang-min had gone, only for Ryu Kang-min to appear silently behind him, smirking in the doorway. The bathroom door quietly clicked shut. Ryu Kang-min, choking the student with a rope, asked about his acting of being terrified and running away. The choked student, face contorted in pain, screamed about his dream of being the best supporting actor. Ryu Kang-min violently twisted the student's arm, dislocating it with a sharp snap. The now nervous student stammered, claiming he was also quite good at acting. Ryu Kang-min powerfully kicked a male student, sending him flying across the room in a true action thriller. The kicked student crashed heavily onto the floor amidst shattered debris. Debris and dust rained down from the ceiling, signifying the beginning of Step 3. An unconscious male student lay bleeding from his head on the floor, effectively instilling fear. A female student shrieked in extreme terror, clutching her head. The goal was to die them completely with dread. A male student frantically suggested they run, calculating their escape speed on an electric scooter, making Ryu Kang-min question their extreme reaction. Ryu Kang-min calmly advanced, his scarred chest visible, reiterating that they only needed to answer. The students panicked as he approached, the female student frantically hitting the male to make him hurry. The student with a tattoo firmly gripped a door handle. He reflected on his past as a top MMA prospect, a championship candidate. He recalled the massive prize and shining glory he could have grasped. His fist clenched and trembled in frustration, contemplating what he could have achieved. He then revealed the reason for his lost potential: he had crushed an opponent's skull. Ryu Kang-min watched, his expression intense and slightly surprised. The student with a tattoo expressed his excitement, eager to finally fight someone strong again. He fiercely called out Ryu Kang-min's name. The student with a tattoo lunged aggressively, proposing a fight until one of them was crushed. A loud impact echoed from the next room. Repeated thudding sounds shook a dresser. A male student commented on the loud and intense sounds from the adjacent room. He nervously clarified his comment, implying no suggestive meaning, much to the female student's embarrassment. "Babe," the male student called out. The female student, embarrassed, questioned if he was just going to listen. The male student smirked, suggesting the best revenge for noise was to retaliate with the same noise. He then declared their intention to fight with such intensity that the walls would break. A student delivered a powerful kick, cracking the floor, as Ryu Kang-min was seemingly caught in the impact. An injured and nervous male student gave a hesitant thumbs up, as the narration announced, Step 4. The student with a tattoo lay injured and unconscious on the floor, signifying, eliminate the leader. Ryu Kang-min stood amidst the debris, casually commenting on the shoddy construction, having effectively caused the group to lose control. The female student reacted with fear and anger, as the narration revealed the tedious steps were for a single reason. She screamed, questioning why the doorknob was being broken, while covering her face in terror. Ryu Kang-min, his face shrouded in shadow, menacingly asked the terrified female student what she was doing, marking the final step. With a smirk, Ryu Kang-min mercifully showed her how to open the door by pushing, not pulling. The female student cowered, screaming apologies and offering to do anything to avoid a beating. This was the moment their fear reached its absolute peak. Ryu Kang-min smirked, revealing he never intended to hit her in the first place, thus extending a hand of salvation. He knelt, informing the terrified female student he only had a normal favor to ask, which confused her. He gently touched her face, telling her that only she, out of everyone present, could fulfill his request. They would become obedient. Ryu Kang-min confirmed her compliance, holding her chin with a smirk, as she, dazed and compliant, became a slave serving her master. Then first, Ryu Kang-min began. He referred back to the held-back student he had mentioned earlier. "What kind of guy is he?" Ryu Kang-min asked, as the scene shifted to a gritty urban night. The path descended into a dark and foreboding stairwell. A storage room filled with numerous dark rectangular items stretched before them. A man in a suit, pleased, marveled at his stacking coins, noting that freaks really opened their wallets for this kind of stuff. He credited a single video for surpassing last year's revenue, allowing them to eat lavishly, as blood dripped from the sashimi. The man in a suit, smirking, declared that whether it was sashimi or people, fresh was always best. A bald, tattooed man agreed with his boss, remarking on the distinct shine of fresh skin. He continued to praise the appetizing nature of the food, as the group feasted around the table. The man in a suit smirked, explaining that video downloads had spiked so much the site's traffic was practically paralyzed. This success was all entirely due to one thing. It was thanks to camera test 17.mp4. The man in a suit, with a hint of disgust and a smirk, expressed disbelief that people would pay for a video of a naked solo show. He continued, stating that thanks to that video, they were. He boasted triumphantly about making a fortune from their semi-basement operation, calling the video a masterpiece. A concerned, bald, tattooed man questioned if they should move their office before police tracked them down due to the traffic surge. The man in a suit confidently dismissed his concerns with a smirk. He explained their security measures. The video was received via Textgram, and the server was routed overseas. He bragged that the location of their office was somewhere not even the police could find. Just as he was about to complete his sentence, a loud, persistent knocking interrupted him. The knocking continued, causing the three men at the table to look up nervously. The focus remained on the heavy, barred metal door, emphasizing its security. The man in a suit calmly instructed his bald, tattooed subordinate to open it, and he complied. The bald, tattooed man opened the door, looking surprised as he confronted the student with a tattoo, demanding his identity. The student with a tattoo stated his purpose: he was looking for the place that distributed the video. He walked forward, his sneakers treading on the concrete. With an intense, almost disgusted expression, the student with a tattoo questioned if he had found the correct location. The man in a suit calmly observed the newcomer, speculating he didn't look like a cop. He asked the student with a tattoo about his gang affiliation as he stood surrounded by three burly men. The two tattooed men tried to identify his gang, suggesting the Singil gang, or the Hyuksik gang. The student with a tattoo confronted the bald, tattooed man, demanding the video be taken down. The bald, tattooed man mocked the student, provocatively suggesting he lower his zipper instead. He yelled a taunt about the office reeking of piss and lunged, his hand reaching out. The two tattooed men smirked at each other, assuming the student would be easily defeated. Blood splattered across their smirking faces, leaving them suddenly confused. The tattooed man trembled and clutched his ear in shock, as the bald man looked on in surprise. The tattooed man screamed in agony, realizing his ear had been severed. The bald, tattooed man reacted in sheer terror to the sound, realizing its horrifying implications. A gun was now pointed directly at the bald, tattooed man's temple, filling him with terror. The bald, tattooed man was violently thrown backward by a gunshot, blood splattering everywhere. The student with a tattoo stood victorious amidst three defeated, bleeding opponents. The tattooed man, eyes wide, reacted with terror upon seeing the gun. He screamed, confirming the presence of a real gun. The student with a tattoo, his face bloody and intense, reiterated his demand for the video to be taken down. The man in a suit, terrified, questioned if the gun was real, having heard an unconvincing sound. The man in a suit lunged from behind, grabbing the student with a tattoo, attempting to disarm him. Simultaneously, the student with a tattoo and the man in a suit were shot in the head, falling backward in a spray of blood. The student with a tattoo, bleeding from his head, his eyes wide, repeated his demand for the video to be taken down. The tattooed man, still terrified, tried to convince himself that it was just a powerful BB gun, a toy. He desperately tried to calm himself and others, insisting there was no need to be scared. Two tattooed men charged fearlessly at the student with a tattoo, who stood with his gun ready. The student with a tattoo's symbolic jacket, with its rabbit and guns design, stood out as he faced the charging men. The student with a tattoo gunned down the two charging men with multiple shots to the head. Small metal balls clattered onto the blood-stained floor as the student with a tattoo dropped them. The student with a tattoo stood alone and victorious amidst five defeated men. He calmly surveyed the scene of his triumph, gun in hand. The man in a suit, off-panel, questioned the reality of the situation, as the safe's keypad showed asterisks. The terrified man in a suit questioned how a toy gun could blow a head apart, eyeing a bag of gold bars. He considered calling the police, then attempted to grab the gold, but a gun was pointed at his head. The client, holding the gun to his head, demanded the video be taken down. The client warned the man in a suit to comply if he didn't want to end up like the others. The terrified man in a suit, sweating profusely, confirmed he just needed to delete it. The client clarified that removing the hard drive was sufficient, allowing him to smash or keep it afterward. The man in a suit questioned the client's extreme actions, asking if he was hired by the victim. The client dismissed the question with a stoic expression, blood splattered on his jaw. The client then made a chilling statement about the person in that video. He revealed a shocking truth: he was the person in the controversial video, an image of Ryu Kang-min on screen. The man in a suit nervously commented on the gun's small appearance. The client, furious, angrily corrected the man in a suit about his comment. Blood splattered dramatically over the sashimi plate. The scene transitioned to a quiet residential neighborhood at night. A typical suburban house stood under the dark night sky. Inside, a dimly lit, quiet bedroom. A name tag on a school uniform jacket clearly read Ryu Kang-min. The school uniform jacket hung neatly in a closet. The scene moved into a dark, eerie concrete stairwell leading to a basement. A caged industrial light fixture emitted a dull, yellow glow. Tools lay on a wooden surface, ready for use, as the name Jang Hyun-soo was introduced. Jang Hyun-soo, focused, assembled a rifle, noting the illegality of firearm possession in South Korea. His hands expertly manipulated the rifle's parts, making distinct clicking sounds. He concluded that, despite its appearance, the gun was just a modified toy, as he clicked a part into place. Jang Hyun-soo stood with the assembled rifle, declaring it a fake as he faced a wall adorned with weapons. His hands manipulated the rifle's mechanism, stating that everything he possessed was real. Jang Hyun-soo peered through the rifle's scope, asserting that his possessions were truly real. Ryu Kang-min, squatting casually, demanded a smoke. Bandaged and bruised, the man with graying hair, wide-eyed, hastily offered smokes. With a smirk, Ryu Kang-min then gestured for a light. The tattooed man snapped a lighter open, a focused intensity in his eyes. Ashtrays were scrambled for as the girl quipped about her long-lost childhood innocence, then questioned her own dramatic flair. The girl, hands behind her back, demanded to know why they were all summoned. Ryu Kang-min, a smirk playing on his lips, insisted they needed to finish yesterday's little chat. He pressed further, inquiring about the unseen returning student in the next class, his words laced with a dark implication. Ryu Kang-min, a flicker of annoyance crossing his face, questioned their unease. He calmly asked why they were so tense, their injuries a silent answer. The girl merely looked away, a wave of concern washing over her. Ryu Kang-min's smirk hardened as he snapped 2 cigarettes, their dry crackle signaling a brewing confrontation. He stood amidst sizzling chaos and fallen bodies, his casual question masking the brutal answer. Blood smeared his face, the blond man's expression etched with profound unease. Bullets struck targets with sharp pings as the blonde woman declared the session complete. She methodically cleared the handgun, ensuring it was dry-fired and all clear. A heavy sigh escaped her lips, the weapon still clutched in her hand. Disgusted, she railed against the gun's calibration, wanting to tear it apart. The blonde woman's annoyance was palpable as Jang Hyun-soo, arms crossed, wondered if she had military experience. Jang Hyun-soo's gaze fixed on a plushie, yearning for the little pepper, first-place prize. A gun clacked, reloading as the girl, surprised, asked if that was the plushie he wanted. Jang Hyun-soo, a 20-year-old returning student at Anil High, sternly told them to hold on. Jang Hyun-soo remarked on her surprisingly good form, but she dismissed it with a laugh, claiming it was her first time. A bullet struck the target with a sharp bang. Jang Hyun-soo gasped, incredulous that she might actually win. More shots rang out, and Jang Hyun-soo cried out in amazement. Spectators marveled, declaring her the perfect recruit for the Ministry of Defense and a boost for the armed forces. Jang Hyun-soo, beaming, presented a large plushie, and the girl shrieked with delight at her perfect score. Her hand brushed his arm as she gratefully accepted the prize. She looked at him with a suggestive glint, promising a reward later. Jang Hyun-soo looked ahead, pondering the weight of her words. The girl gleefully spun the elephant plushie, its trunk whooshing as the others joked about its potential detachment. Clutching his gun, Jang Hyun-soo mumbled, confused by what reward she truly meant. His hands expertly shifted the gun. The blond man chuckled dismissively, smirking as he held his gun. The clear blue sky offered a serene transition. She looked up, her expression one of utter annoyance. Pensive, she voiced her frustration on the phone, wondering why Ryu Kang-min was interested in him when she wanted to forget. She looked at him, confused by his muttering. Ryu Kang-min retorted sharply, dismissing her words as incoherent. Her surprise mounted as she noticed his clothes matched hers, to which Ryu Kang-min quipped about matching outfits. Annoyed, she demanded to know why he had summoned her alone, on a weekend. Ryu Kang-min's jawline was firm. Ryu Kang-min reminded her of their conversation at the room cafe, instantly deepening her worry. With a chilling smirk, Ryu Kang-min leaned in, reminding her of the simple favor she had agreed to. He noted the neighborhood's fame, a smirk still lingering as he scrolled through food pictures. He then asked her to tour him, a self-proclaimed country bumpkin, around the city. Her clothes were neat, but her thoughts were far from it. Her smirk was a sly dismissal of his request. Ryu Kang-min commented on Seoul's sophistication, unaware the girl was still reeling from the violent mood he'd set and fearing his next dangerous demand. The girl pondered Ryu Kang-min's baffling behavior, while he merely looked confused. Ryu Kang-min suggested they eat, and the girl's internal monologue affirmed, "He totally likes me." As they walked, Ryu Kang-min asked her what she wanted to eat. Ryu Kang-min, oblivious to the hidden camera, declared his algorithm had found an amazing restaurant. A camera clicked, capturing their close, smiling faces. Hidden in the shadows, a man silently snapped another photo. She acknowledged the restaurant's reputation. But confronted with an 80-dish course, she sarcastically asked if he was LARPing as a king. Annoyed, she clinked her chopsticks, criticizing his terrible restaurant taste and suggesting he'd never dated. Ryu Kang-min's eye, filled with an unexpected sadness, offered a quiet apology. He confessed, his voice low, that he had never truly had proper friends. He admitted his cluelessness about what to eat during such elaborate meals. Her eyes widened, surprised by his raw honesty. Annoyed by her sudden guilt, she thumped her chopsticks down and told him to shut up and eat. Ryu Kang-min complained about his diet, yet conceded the food was too delicious to resist. The girl chewed enthusiastically, exclaiming the food was freaking delicious and seeking his agreement. Ryu Kang-min lauded the fried iguana as a masterpiece, prompting a shocked query from her. He gently wiped her face, a camera clicking to capture the intimate moment. The bright, modern cafe sat empty, awaiting new patrons. An alpaca let out a furious, sharp cry. While Ryu Kang-min mused on an alpaca's unique cry, the girl sweetly fed another, oblivious to its companion's spittle and crunching mouthfuls. Ryu Kang-min raged at the alpaca's audacity, unknowingly being filmed as the girl innocently questioned him. A camera clicked, immortalizing Ryu Kang-min's shocked, spit-covered face as the girl laughed gleefully. A grand, modern art gallery showcased its newest exhibition. Ryu Kang-min praised modern art's profundity, then read the piece's title with surprise. He read the title of the urinal, Excretion, Not Art. He asked if she felt the emotion pouring over him, comparing it to hitting a flush button. A click captured their image as the girl informed Ryu Kang-min they were at the 2026 Bathroom Products Expo. The grand building glowed with a quiet elegance under the night sky. A camera clicked, capturing her silhouette against the majestic facade. Another click, and she groaned about endless photos, but Ryu Kang-min simply stated, "Until I'm satisfied." Ryu Kang-min's phone glitched, signaling full storage, despite his massive 1024 terabytes. A click, and Ryu Kang-min explained he took so many photos because she was a national treasure. Stars dotted the peaceful night sky, marking the late hour. Ryu Kang-min thanked her for the enjoyable tour, to which she offered a neutral, "Glad to hear it." Ryu Kang-min's smirk hinted he didn't want the night to end just yet, leaving her utterly confused. He then suggested one last round of shooting at the range. Her gaze was piercing, an intense seriousness settling on her features. The target stood stark against the wall. Jang Hyun-soo expertly aimed his gun, the girl standing close behind him. The girl and Ryu Kang-min stood side by side, their expressions grim in the fading light. The store owner pitched his game, one hit, one plushie, but Ryu Kang-min casually dismissed it as too easy. With a pained smile, the owner boasted about the game's difficulty, asserting it wouldn't be easy to win for a girlfriend. Unbeknownst to Ryu Kang-min, the owner had rigged the rifle sights to be utterly useless. A shot rang out, glancing off the target, even a veteran would miss with this rigged weapon. Ryu Kang-min, acknowledging the gun's flaw, proposed a bet. His conditions were clear: hit every target, win a plushie. If he won, she would owe him one more favor, a prospect that shocked and annoyed her. The store owner, despite his pained smile, confidently dismissed his chances. Ping! 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 Every target was hit with impossible speed. The store owner, eyes wide and terrified, stammered in shock, while the girl looked on, intrigued. The girl gasped, realizing he had hit every single target. Ryu Kang-min casually offered the girl a turn, as the store owner, sweat beading, wondered if he was a top-tier hitman. Ryu Kang-min instructed her on holding the rifle, her uncertain movements captured by a hidden camera. Another click, another photo, Ryu Kang-min leaned in, showing her the proper stance as she blushed. The apartment building settled into the quiet dark of night. Ryu Kang-min held up the plushie, declaring it so damn ugly. She grimaced at the prize, a piece of crap that was pointlessly bouncy. She looked away, a pensive expression clouding her face. Holding her phone, she pondered Ryu Kang-min's next favor. To her surprise, he simply wanted her to post their photo on social media. A short gasp escaped her lips. His transparent, soul tour tricks were obvious, yet he continued to play them. She remembered him wiping sauce from her mouth. He snapped photos of her. His nice guy act and goofy grin were transparent attempts, surely he didn't think she'd fall for them. Seriously, she thought, clenching her hands. With an annoyed squeeze, she declared him utterly irritating. A hand scrolled through a social media feed, revealing their photo. Another quick swipe, another post. Yet another scroll, another intimate picture. A voice announced, "Fifth floor," as the phone displayed another shared moment. Doors opening, the voice echoed, revealing the surprised girl as the phone still glowed. Her eyes widened, a question etched on her surprised face. The blonde man glared, a heavy thump of shock palpable in the air. The dimly lit hallway stretched out, eerily silent. The pink plushie lay discarded on the dark floor beside her. He touched her chin, warning her about the dangers of being out late and instructing her to come home earlier. She choked out a question, "Why are you here?" as his hand tightened on her throat, cutting off her breath. "Hey Eon," the blonde man said, "this studio apartment takes me back." His grip remained, as he asked if this was their first encounter since that day. In a warm, lively flashback, the bald man loudly called for "bottoms up" as friends gathered, drinking and snacking. The group cheered, clinking their glasses together. The tattooed man complained the booze tasted like sugar water, while the brown-haired man joked about adding rice. Hye-yeon sternly warned them to drink in moderation, threatening death if anyone made a mess. The bald man eagerly urged more drinking, as the blonde man reassured Hye-yeon he would keep an eye on everyone. Hye-yeon smiled, complimenting the blonde man's reliability, attributing it to his maturity. He smirked confidently, urging her to trust him implicitly. A green soju bottle stood abandoned on the floor. Empty soju bottles littered the floor, remnants of a wild night. 5 men lay sprawled across the floor, passed out. Hye-yeon slept soundly in her bed. Her face was obscured by dark hair. The blonde man whispered Haeun's name, leaning close. He lay beside her, asking if she was truly asleep. She remained deep in sleep, her chest gently rising and falling. He panted, his breath heavy, repeating the question to her sleeping form. A piercing scream tore through the night. The blonde man stood over her, accusing her of ruining his life with her report as she coughed and choked on the floor. He lamented his expulsion and abandonment by his family, all because of her. "All because of you, Hye-yeon," he seethed, as she coughed and tearfully demanded to know how it was her fault. Her eyes burning red, she screamed, "You sex offender piece of shit." "You did," he insisted, leaning in, as she recoiled in fear. He roared, accusing her of leading him on. He recounted every instance, every sly touch, every hint of reward, every sweet word, every compliment, accusing her of deliberately leading him on. Clutching his phone, he accused her of liking him first and leading him on like a sly little fox. He asserted that today was no different, leaving her stunned. He pointed to the social media post of her with another guy. He smirked, accusing her of posting it just to make him jealous. Her eyes wide with anger, she demanded to know what he was even talking about. He smirked, implying she went shooting with Ryu Kang-min specifically to mimic their shared past and ignite his jealousy. Her fist clenched tight, she had heard enough of his absolute bullshit. Smack, she slapped him hard, calling him a complete fucking psycho. She ripped into him, calling him schizophrenic and telling him to run to his mommy. She kicked the plushie away with 2 sharp impacts, startling the blonde man. Her eyes glowed red with resolve, since, that day, she had prepared for this moment. She confessed to secretly filming her practices, now holding the gun pointed directly at him. She struggled with the weapon, a frustrated groan escaping her as she tried to pull the trigger. The blonde man's face contorted in terror as she revealed her body was shaking uncontrollably. A terrifying scream ripped from both of them. Ryu Kang-min appeared with a sudden thump, silencing the girl with his hand. He acknowledged the target's unexpected speed, his hand still muffling her surprise. His smirk deepened, hiring those paparazzi had proven entirely worth it. The grimy alley stretched, dark and narrow. In the secret of dark, a masked man questioned his equally masked associates about the photos. He confirmed all photos, taken secretly from a distance, were uploaded. A frustrated sigh escaped the masked man as he cursed Ryu Kang-min. Having been beaten half to death at the room cafe, they now endured these ridiculous errands for Ryu Kang-min. The man displayed the couple-like posts, desperately hoping their performance would spare them another beating. The tattooed man, confused, didn't understand why Ryu Kang-min bothered, since he didn't even like Hye-yeon. Why go to all this trouble, he wondered, if there was no genuine affection. Ryu Kang-min confronted Jang Hyun-soo, revealing the difficulty he'd faced tracking him. But he never expected such childish bait to actually work in luring him out. Ryu Kang-min smirked, a napkin still in hand, asking if he was truly that desperate. Jang Hyun-soo's jaw tightened in annoyance. Jang Hyun-soo, confused, asked if he was Haeun's boyfriend, to which Ryu Kang-min playfully retorted. Both men uttered a sharp sound of surprise. Jang Hyun-soo's eyes widened, a chilling smirk spreading across his face as he understood. Asterisk bang. Thump, asterisk Jang Hyun-soo opened fire, kicking Ryu Kang-min with brutal force. Ryu Kang-min, a smirk still on his annoyed face, noted the lack of warning before the blast. Jang Hyun-soo, gun leveled, declared that if Ryu Kang-min was out of the picture, Hye-yeon would be his. His hand swiftly reloaded the gun with a solid thump. Bang, Ryu Kang-min, now also armed, coolly asked if he truly desired Hye-yeon that intensely. Ryu Kang-min proposed a shooting bet, the winner to claim the prize. Ryu Kang-min held two guns, initiating a chilling warning. He smirked menacingly, declaring his gun delivered instant death with a single shot. Jang Hyun-soo cursed, the unexpected sight of his own video leaving him utterly shocked. He raged, demanding to know who had leaked his video, even as he privately conceded it was a flattering angle. Running a hand through his hair, he cursed the phone repairman, now realizing why the bastard had charged so little. He pointed a threatening finger, promising a bullet to the culprit who didn't seem to know what was coming. The smirking client revealed Jang Hyun-soo's video had already achieved infamous, widespread fame. Jang Hyun-soo frantically demanded the client's identity, oblivious to the man's calm observation that the video was now a hot online topic. The client described Jang Hyun-soo's meticulous, solitary practice sessions for seducing girls, correcting every move. The client revealed the disturbing extent of Jang Hyun-soo's elaborate self-recording setup, emphasizing the unsettling nature of his narcissism. With malicious amusement, the client mocked Jang Hyun-soo's private feedback sessions, calling them utterly creepy. The client then observed the dangerous weapon Jang Hyun-soo apparently possessed. With a knowing smirk, the client declared Jang Hyun-soo the perfect talent for creating controversy. Ryu Kang-min's intense gaze cut through the room as he called out, demanding attention. Enraged, Jang Hyun-soo screamed, demanding Ryu Kang-min answer who the hell he was. The rumpled bed and tripod starkly revealed the place where Jang Hyun-soo had recorded himself. The client finally named his shadowy organization, the Network. He ruthlessly explained their business model, providing provocative content to the public for profit. The client reloaded his gun with a click, revealing his role as a recruiter for talent like Jang Hyun-soo. He complimented Jang Hyun-soo, finding his actions, with their potential for social scandal, highly impressive. The client then formally invited Jang Hyun-soo to join the network. Ryu Kang-min's voice cut through, asking if Jang Hyun-soo truly desired Choi Ha-yeon that intensely. With a malicious smirk, Jang Hyun-soo proposed a shooting bet, declaring Ha-yeon the prize for the winner. Ryu Kang-min, clutching 2 handguns, issued a chilling warning about his weapon. With a confident smirk, Ryu Kang-min boasted his gun killed instantly with just 1 shot. Jang Hyun-soo remained silent, his jaw clenched in grim determination. Jang Hyun-soo retorted with a challenging smirk, a direct answer to Ryu Kang-min's threat. With a defiant, almost crazed look, Ryu Kang-min dared Jang Hyun-soo to take his shot, holding the gun to his own head. Jang Hyun-soo mocked Ryu Kang-min's hesitation, but then a quick click and a deafening bang cut him off as Ryu Kang-min fired. Jang Hyun-soo screamed in agony, crashing back from the powerful impact. Jang Hyun-soo groaned, his face contorted in pain, as Ryu Kang-min coolly observed the weird outcome. Ryu Kang-min stared, utterly confused, wondering why his gun was loaded with rubber bullets. Jang Hyun-soo, nursing his forehead, slowly realized, bullet delivery didn't mean actual bullets, adding to his confusion. Ryu Kang-min sighed, running a hand across his face, recognizing the obvious fact that they wouldn't ship real bullets. Ryu Kang-min muttered, "Man," in deep frustration. He crouched, utterly embarrassed by the turn of events. Ryu Kang-min casually fired another shot, muttering, "Oops." Jang Hyun-soo clattered back, frustrated the shot had been too obvious to miss. Ryu Kang-min fired twin, precise shots. Jang Hyun-soo, now intrigued, wondered if it truly was a toy gun. Ryu Kang-min commented that kids definitely shouldn't be playing with something that could decapitate a plushie. Jang Hyun-soo, still holding the gun to his head, intensely questioned if Ryu Kang-min, a clear professional, had made it. Ryu Kang-min cursed, firing a shot and dodging a return, while Jang Hyun-soo bizarrely praised the gun's zeroing as a work of art. Ryu Kang-min cursed under his breath, observing that Jang Hyun-soo had quite a criminal record with that gun. He cocked his gun with a click, his suspicion deepening that Jang Hyun-soo had never once been to prison. Ryu Kang-min's mouth curved into a knowing smirk, hinting at a deeper revelation. Ryu Kang-min, still smirking, revealed his suspicion that a shadowy group, the network, was backing Jang Hyun-soo. The narration described the network as a veiled, massive criminal organization operating in Korea. They quietly used students scattered across the country for their operations. They operated as a point organization, functioning through multiple small, connected groups. This intimidating complexity made finding the truth behind the organization next to impossible. Even so, Ryu Kang-min held a steely resolve, he had to find them. Documents laid out revealed Ryu Kang-min's connection to Batala, an itinerary, and ongoing notes on the network. The target notes explicitly stated the network was being verified, hinting at a crucial reason. Ryu Kang-min's main target, the one he absolutely must kill, was located within that intricate network. A sharp tap broke the silence as Ryu Kang-min's challenging voice asked, "What are you staring at?" Ryu Kang-min angrily demanded if he was a joke to this blonde guy, a known network member. This network member, discovered during Ryu Kang-min's investigation, initiated a rapid exchange of gunfire. Contorted in anger, Ryu Kang-min seethed that the bastard not only stole his girl, but was now his first stepping stone. Jang Hyun-soo had mocked and threatened him, but Ryu Kang-min dodged the whooshing attack, a clear path to his main target. With a rattle, Jang Hyun-soo prepared his next determined move. A clattering sound made Ryu Kang-min gasp, looking down in surprise. Ryu Kang-min fired his gun, his action shattering in a broken reflection. Ryu Kang-min, still aiming, looked utterly shocked as he questioned if this was truly what dying felt like. Both Ryu Kang-min and Jang Hyun-soo stared, startled, guns aimed at each other from close range. Ryu Kang-min screamed in raw agony, a wet splat confirming the bullet's painful impact. Ryu Kang-min grimaced in fresh pain, clutching his new impact wound. Jang Hyun-soo fired his gun, creating a thundering impact that sent debris flying. Jang Hyun-soo's smartphone lay shattered on the debris-strewn floor. Ryu Kang-min opened a soda can with a click, calmly asking if Jang Hyun-soo truly intended to keep this up. Ryu Kang-min coolly and sarcastically addressed him as Mr. Criminal. Ryu Kang-min uttered a stark no, leaving Jang Hyun-soo utterly confused. Jang Hyun-soo, in bewildered panic, insisted he wasn't the bad guy here. The dimly lit, sparsely furnished room now served as a stark setting. Sitting alone in a dark corner, Jang Hyun-soo desperately questioned if Ha-yeon had truly not blocked him. His phone screen displayed frantic, unanswered messages and calls to Ha-yeon, desperately questioning her silence. Jang Hyun-soo, with intense frustration, cursed as he realized something was gravely wrong. He looked fondly at a photo of a girl, reminiscing about her words, "You said it was cool." He remembered her saying shooting guns was cool, gripping his handgun so tightly it creaked. Distraught, he lamented how much he had practiced, surrounded by the remnants of his obsession. He looked away, self-pitying, claiming to be a victim betrayed by love. Ryu Kang-min replied with scathing sarcasm, calling Jang Hyun-soo's self-pity a creative way to look at it. Jang Hyun-soo mumbled "love" while aiming his gun at the girl, utterly confusing Ryu Kang-min. Jang Hyun-soo declared his desperate love, his face distorted with tears and desperation even as he aimed the gun. Ryu Kang-min's eyes widened in profound shock, hearing Jang Hyun-soo's twisted declaration of love with all his heart. Jang Hyun-soo continued his fervent, cold declarations, now claiming his love was pure. The girl remained silently resigned as Jang Hyun-soo's desperate declarations continued, "I love you like crazy." Jang Hyun-soo yelled out his overwhelming love, his face contorted in raging despair, "I fucking love you so much." Jang Hyun-soo's hand moved with a decisive sweep, uttering his dark resolve, "If I can't have you." He finished his chilling sentence, "No one can," falling backward and firing his gun at the girl as Ryu Kang-min watched in shock. The gun's barrel menacingly pointed directly at the terrified, vulnerable girl. Ryu Kang-min yelled in panic, clutching his soda can, beginning a desperate plea to the girl. Ryu Kang-min, holding a gun to his head, offered a chilling, malicious proposal to the girl, "Let's get married in the next life, you fucking bitch." Multiple gunshots erupted in chaotic succession. A window shattered from the bullet impacts, sending glass shards flying. Bullets streaked through the air, leaving kinetic trails of rapid fire. Numerous bullet casings pattered down, evidence of the continuous, intense shooting. Ryu Kang-min cocked his two handguns with deliberate clicks, preparing for the next volley. Jang Hyun-soo panted, his face covered in sweat and wide-eyed with overwhelming panic and fear. Ryu Kang-min calmly noted the expected durability of made-in-Korea appliances. Ryu Kang-min, crouched behind a bullet-riddled refrigerator protecting the girl, noted its surprising durability in blocking bullets. The girl remained safe behind the refrigerator, her eyes closed in relief. Peeking from behind the bullet-riddled refrigerator, Jang Hyun-soo, dumbfounded, demanded to know who Ryu Kang-min was. Jang Hyun-soo questioned Ryu Kang-min's extreme actions, unable to comprehend why he would jump into a hail of bullets just to save one girl. Jang Hyun-soo remained grimly silent, lost in thought. A panicked realization dawned on Jang Hyun-soo, his voice trailing off in dread. Jang Hyun-soo questioned the shocking truth, but the girl remained sadly unresponsive. His voice heavy with suspicion, Jang Hyun-soo implied something intimate had transpired between them in the messy bedroom. Jang Hyun-soo's face twisted in explosive disgust and rage at his realization. Ryu Kang-min's sarcastic gaze challenged Jang Hyun-soo, asking if he was truly curious. Ryu Kang-min smirked, implying his embarrassment about the intimate moments that made the girl blush. Jang Hyun-soo screamed in pure, unadulterated rage, pointing his gun forward. He screamed he would kill, even as he was thrown backward, dropping his gun. Jang Hyun-soo looked confused and disoriented as various small objects fell around him. He uttered a wide-eyed, confused, "Huh." He cried out, "Ah," as blood lightly tapped and spattered around his foot. Jang Hyun-soo screamed in agony, clutching his profusely bleeding finger. Ryu Kang-min shushed him with a sarcastic smirk, warning about the neighbors. Ryu Kang-min explicitly threatened to blow off his entire hand if he didn't shut up, making Jang Hyun-soo flinch in absolute terror. The gun in Ryu Kang-min's hand was a Glock Mu-7, firing 9mm parabellum rounds. Ryu Kang-min's intense gaze built suspense as he declared that from now on, what was being fired. He finished his chilling declaration with a smirk, revealing that it was a real bullet. Jang Hyun-soo, holding his bleeding hand, looked up with a desperate, pleading expression. Ryu Kang-min mockingly questioned his plea from the menacing barrel of his gun. A distinct click signaled the gun was ready to fire, eliciting a panicked cry of "No" from Jang Hyun-soo. Jang Hyun-soo, terrified, scrambled and whooshed away, screaming he didn't want to die. Ryu Kang-min observed Jang Hyun-soo fleeing with an unimpressed, look at him run. The kitchen bore the chaotic damage of the gunfight, riddled with bullet holes. Ryu Kang-min, cold and serious, commented that Jang Hyun-soo should have run away in the first place. Ryu Kang-min walked anonymously among the bustling crowd on a busy city street at night. A cheerful maid cafe sign boasted of cute maids waiting to serve their masters. A maid, smiling seductively, enticingly offered to play with a playful meow. Jang Hyun-soo stared, captivated, commenting on the cute cat maid. Jang Hyun-soo suddenly screamed, "Get lost, you cat bitch," before running away in panic, leaving the maid recoiling with a shocked meow. Panting and sweating, Jang Hyun-soo looked over his shoulder, frustrated and exhausted, wondering how much longer this would last. Ryu Kang-min's feet continued their steady, relentless pursuit on the pavement. Jang Hyun-soo yelled in frustrated desperation, demanding to know how long Ryu Kang-min intended to chase him. Confused, Jang Hyun-soo uttered, "Huh," at a light tap, wondering what he'd done. He cried out in despair, publicly questioning what he had done wrong. Jang Hyun-soo dramatically yelled on the busy street, declaring himself a victim used by a woman. Screaming in raw despair, Jang Hyun-soo questioned why he was being targeted. Ryu Kang-min smirked, calmly observing Jang Hyun-soo's frantic escape and remarking on his energy, then wiped his phone screen. Ryu Kang-min credited Jang Hyun-soo's energy for getting them here faster than expected. Ryu Kang-min, activating screen sharing on his phone, asked if they should get started. Jang Hyun-soo continued his frantic run, glancing up at the large advertising screen. A sudden flash startled Jang Hyun-soo as his leaked video blared onto the giant outdoor screen. His wide, bloodshot eye registered extreme shock and a horrified, "Huh." Jang Hyun-soo stood frozen, as puzzled pedestrians around him questioned the strange electronic billboard. A chaotic murmur rose from the bewildered crowd, offering strange questions about the chicken and urology clinic ad now playing. Jang Hyun-soo looked up, utterly horrified, reacting to the insult that "it's way too small." Jang Hyun-soo looked down in utter horror, feeling exposed and targeted. Surrounded by the blurring crowd, Jang Hyun-soo frantically shouted his defensive denial, "No it's not, you bastards. It's not small." Jang Hyun-soo desperately pleaded with Ryu Kang-min, rationalizing his humiliating situation as merely an off day. Ryu Kang-min chuckled, and Jang Hyun-soo stared, a dawning horror coloring his thoughts about the video. Stunned, Jang Hyun-soo accused Ryu Kang-min, "Did you do this?" The traffic light blinked, cycling its signal. It clicked to red, halting pedestrian traffic. Jang Hyun-soo ran in a desperate frenzy, yelling for the video to be taken down. With a crashing sound, Jang Hyun-soo cried, "Ugh," as he suddenly and violently fell. A large truck crashed past him in a blur of motion. Onlookers stared in collective terror and shock at the unseen event. Jang Hyun-soo, bewildered and wide-eyed, tried to comprehend what had just happened to him. Jang Hyun-soo's unconscious body lay on the road, leaving the question of whether he had just died. A man screamed in terror, questioning if Jang Hyun-soo was dead, while Ryu Kang-min remained unfazed. Ryu Kang-min looked thoughtful, a slight smirk playing on his lips, commenting that he hadn't planned for this particular ending. Ryu Kang-min simply smirked, considering the situation. As panicked onlookers called for an ambulance, Ryu Kang-min walked away, coldly deciding Jang Hyun-soo got what he deserved. The scene shifted to a bright, clear aerial view of a bustling school campus. A male student initiated a conversation conspiratorially. "Hey, did you hear?" The student's eyes widened in shock as he relayed the news. "That bastard Jang Hyun-soo, apparently he got hit by a truck." A student with a tattoo casually confirmed it, stating the incident was blowing up on social media. The student, displaying the news on his phone, declared Jang Hyun-soo the most talked about guy in the country, a man who had completely lost his mind. One male student excitedly declared their school had finally produced a celebrity, while another, picking his nose, made an absurd remark about clapping to take a dump. The girl with long black hair turned, annoyed, to correct him with an insult. "It's the other way around, dumbass." The girl mused, finding it so annoying and creepy that Jang Hyun-soo got hit by a car on the exact day he came to her place. She sighed, clutching her head in frustration and pain as her temples throbbed. She realized she couldn't remember anything from yesterday, as if she had blacked out, only recalling that bastard Jang Hyun-soo showing up. Her memory fragmented to herself screaming, making her wonder if she had passed out after that. She vaguely thought about the quality of Korean appliances, a strange feeling bubbling to the surface. Her fragmented memory connected durable appliances blocking bullets with hearing Ryu Kang-min's voice. A mysterious, silhouetted figure stood alone in a dimly lit room. The silhouette of a man in a suit stood alone in the dark room. Ryu Kang-min's silhouette tilted, questioning something he noticed below. His footsteps echoed with a soft crunch as Ryu Kang-min wondered if she was awake already. With a soft rustle, Ryu Kang-min offered unsettling reassurance, telling her not to worry about the messy house. Ryu Kang-min adjusted his tie with a chilling smirk, stating he was cleaning up the house, as his masked men worked diligently in the background. Ryu Kang-min gave a knowing smirk, adjusting his glasses, implying a deeper meaning. The narration ominously revealed he was cleaning up her memories as well. The girl remained silent, her hand pensively touching her chin. She looked up with a confused, vacant expression, admitting she felt weird. The scene shifted to a quiet street at dusk, illuminated by a single street lamp. Ryu Kang-min walked alone and contemplatively on the quiet street, carrying a small bag. Ryu Kang-min sighed in annoyance, frustrated that not a single convenience store would sell him cigarettes. He pouted in ironic frustration, complaining about his character's 17-year-old setting, when he should have begged for a 24-year-old who finished his military service. His plodding footsteps accompanied his sighing laments about being forced to quit smoking and facing military service again. Ryu Kang-min, surprised by an unexpected encounter, uttered a curious, A man in a suit formally addressed Ryu Kang-min by name, startling him. Ryu Kang-min commented with suspicion on a sketchy guy approaching a high schooler, prompting the man to apologize for any discomfort. The man in the suit adjusted his jacket, bringing up the billboard hacking incident downtown last night. The man offered Ryu Kang-min a card with a slight smirk, praising the incident as highly impressive. The intriguing card displayed the intricate geometric logo of an organization. The man revealed the organization was called The Network, as Ryu Kang-min looked on intensely. A subtle smirk played on Ryu Kang-min's lips as he internally labeled it predictable. The narration explained that when an incident involving one of their members escalated, the network took notice. The incident had indeed become a nationwide issue. The narration confirmed they had no choice but to take an interest in Ryu Kang-min, as the man stated they sought talent who could create issues. Ryu Kang-min accepted with a confident, ironic smile, "Well, I do have a trendy sense of style," marking the true beginning of his mission. Ryu Kang-min stoically began his infiltration into one of the network's point organizations as a low-level member. His goal was to work his way up from the bottom, to get close to his main target. That would be the standard method, the narration noted, but Ryu Kang-min's subtle smirk hinted at a different approach. The narration revealed that in a point organization, the role of a scouter, by design had to be held by someone in the upper ranks. This meant scouters likely communicated directly with the boss, Ryu Kang-min thought, but he feigned confusion with a soft rustle, asking what the man was talking about. With a determined tap to his chest, Ryu Kang-min commanded, "Take me." Ryu Kang-min, holding a plastic bag containing a gun, looked intently at the surprised man, demanding, "To your boss." A calm, serene traditional Korean room beckoned with intricate wooden doors. Vibrant flowers bloomed, hinting at a delicate, almost romantic start to the day. In an elegant room, the woman with blonde hair meticulously trimmed a red blossom, a subtle tension in her focus. "Hibiscus," the woman with blonde hair said, her hand freezing mid-cut. Her eye narrowed inquisitively as she noted it was known as the Hawaiian hibiscus, then questioned something unseen. Rose petals swirled as the woman with blonde hair began to explain its meaning. From his perch on the windowsill, Ryu Kang-min provocatively suggested its meaning was, "a luscious ass." The woman with blonde hair, annoyed, flatly refuted him, then sarcastically asked if ChatGPT had provided his meaning. Her expression turned serious, signaling a shift to a more important topic. Her scissors clattered to the floor, emphasizing the sudden change in mood. Rising from the couch, the woman with blonde hair angrily confronted Ryu Kang-min about his uninvited entry into her house. Ryu Kang-min, holding the fallen scissors, coolly commented on her twisted hobby. He then addressed her as Spade A, feigning surprise with a passport pierced by the scissors. Spade A asked if it wasn't time for Ryu Kang-min to leave for Korea, but he playfully claimed pigeons had taken over the runway and asked to nap there. Ryu Kang-min then made a suggestive comment about needing a lap pillow, which Spade A met with dry sarcasm. Shifting her tone, Spade A directly questioned Ryu Kang-min about the true reason for his unexpected visit. Her open scissors remained poised amongst the flowers, an unspoken tension in the air. Ryu Kang-min held up a card, asking Spade A if contract killers typically received new identification for missions. A passport was placed on the wooden table as Ryu Kang-min began to explain the unusual circumstances of his new mission identity. The document revealed the shocking truth: his new passport bore his real name, Ryu Kang-min. Ryu Kang-min leaned in, demanding to know Spade A's intentions, especially since his real date of birth was also listed, but she calmly claimed it was consideration. Amidst golden flowers, Spade A explained that after this assignment, Ryu Kang-min would no longer be Spade A. Instead, Spade A promised Ryu Kang-min a completely free life under his true name once this mission was complete. Ryu Kang-min's skeptical expression betrayed his disbelief that freedom could be the reward. He recounted how past assassinations, even of a Supreme Council member or a wealthy family, had always been rewarded with money. Clutching a rose, Ryu Kang-min questioned why the life of just one Korean citizen would suddenly be worth freedom. Spade A, holding a rose to her nose, calmly dismissed his questions as High Command's decision, surprising Ryu Kang-min with her lack of further explanation. With a soft slide, Spade A opened a wooden box, indicating she would only share verified information. She informed Ryu Kang-min that the fax had just arrived, and she had intended to give it to him in Korea. Ryu Kang-min reacted with surprise upon reading the document. The document revealed that the main target had created an organization known as Batala. Spade A added that Batala operated as a highly meticulous point organization, making it difficult to secure many member names. Her instructions were clear: Ryu Kang-min's first objective was to make contact with one of these members. Ryu Kang-min, holding the documents, scoffed at the idea of his targets being students, asking if he was meant to play house, but Spade A quickly dismissed his conclusions. She used the analogy of a beautiful flower with deep roots to illustrate a hidden truth. Spade A suggested that the target's organization, much like the flower's roots, might also be deeply entrenched in the shadows. The scene shifted to a quiet, eerie street at night, illuminated by a single street lamp. Ryu Kang-min, now in a suit, stared intently at Jang Hyun-soo, commanding him to be taken to his boss. Holding the gun in its plastic bag, Ryu Kang-min directly demanded to be taken to Jang Hyun-soo's boss. Jang Hyun-soo turned away, his short black hair glinting in the dim light. Clutching the gun, Jang Hyun-soo firmly stated that Ryu Kang-min's demand was impossible. Jang Hyun-soo dismissed the attempt to threaten him, prompting Ryu Kang-min to respond with sarcastic disbelief. Ryu Kang-min, claiming not to threaten, violently shoved Jang Hyun-soo's head down with 3 swift thrusts. Jang Hyun-soo's eyes widened in utter shock behind his glasses. He sputtered, unable to comprehend Ryu Kang-min's actions. After composing himself, Jang Hyun-soo calmly adjusted his suit and questioned why Ryu Kang-min was wielding a BB gun. Ryu Kang-min, holding the pistol, asked if Jang Hyun-soo was scared, to which Jang Hyun-soo calmly replied he was surprised a 17-year-old was carrying a toy. Ryu Kang-min, still holding the pistol, questioned how Jang Hyun-soo had known it was a toy gun. Jang Hyun-soo's eyes narrowed, feigning ignorance while clearly knowing more. A smug smile played on Jang Hyun-soo's face as he confidently stated a high school student in Korea wouldn't have a real gun. He then listed the reasons for his certainty: the gun was lighter than a real one, and its paint job was cheap. Jang Hyun-soo continued, citing the distinct squeak of a toy spring and the plastic friction of the trigger, prompting Ryu Kang-min to remark on his verbose explanation. The street remained dark and dimly lit, emphasizing the quiet intensity of their standoff. Ryu Kang-min's profile showed a curious expression as he asked if he could pose a question in return. Jang Hyun-soo took a step forward, his dress shoes tapping, and asked Ryu Kang-min about his goal. His serious gaze met Ryu Kang-min's as he finished his question: what was his objective in approaching their network? Ryu Kang-min's eye flickered, a focused and calculating look. Ryu Kang-min dramatically recoiled, complaining that Jang Hyun-soo had whispered in his ear, giving him goosebumps. Ryu Kang-min exclaimed that Jang Hyun-soo had approached him right outside his house, to which Jang Hyun-soo calmly agreed. The quiet street stretched before them, the tension lingering in the air. Jang Hyun-soo, walking away, announced he would be waiting at the business card's address tomorrow at 2 p.m. With a suspicious glance back at Ryu Kang-min, Jang Hyun-soo remarked on something strange. He questioned the presence of gunpowder smell, despite the gun being a toy, as Ryu Kang-min was shown with 2 guns tucked into his waistband. Ryu Kang-min's worried eyes darted upwards, wondering if Jang Hyun-soo had noticed something. Narration confirmed that the man with short black hair was no ordinary salesman, focusing on his distinctive lapel pin. The narration chillingly revealed that the man with short black hair was a contract killer as he walked away into the streaked purple background. The quiet interior of a traditional Korean room was shown, now dimly lit at night. An overhead view revealed a quiet, domestic bedroom. An open closet revealed a hanging school uniform jacket, hinting at a new identity. Narration confirmed that contact was made, exactly as they expected, with a school uniform on display. That network, as the narration revealed, was a sophisticated organization, as a rugged laptop displayed intricate data. The narration continued, explaining that the network utilized minors to orchestrate social issues, against a backdrop of a wall filled with firearms. The mannequins in uniform stood as silent witnesses as the narration concluded that the network also profited from these issues. A complex investigation board, covered in documents, maps, and red strings, illustrated the vastness of the network's operations. Narration suggested something was highly unlikely, and then Ryu Kang-min exclaimed in surprise. Ryu Kang-min, peeling a chocolate egg, observed how simply and effortlessly they lied. His smirk confirmed his thought that they lied without any effort. The narration directly questioned if Ryu Kang-min was written to be stupid, prompting Jang Hyun-soo to immediately deny it. Narration revealed that the organization disguised itself as an illegal student circle, as Ryu Kang-min's hand held open a chocolate egg containing 2 pills. Spade A clarified that in reality, they were a massive underworld criminal organization. The woman with blonde hair identified them as Korea's network, sitting seriously while stretching. Narration drew a parallel, stating that they also disguised themselves, as Spade A meditated in a traditional room. The narration continued, highlighting the similarity: they disguised themselves as a hotel casino. Spade A explained that to operate in a safe country like Korea, the network must have needed minors as a front to deceive authorities. She admitted that much about the network remained unknown. Spade A's serious gaze suggested a profound possibility about the network. She ominously wondered if they were indeed the Batala of Korea, or at least a group worthy of the name, as Jang Hyun-soo was shown with the symbol behind him. From behind, Spade A commented on how quickly Ryu Kang-min had caught the network's attention. The narration immediately contradicted her, stating it was not fast at all, as Spade A looked upset with a tear on her face. Narration conveyed the extensive efforts of their investigation, even after using all their information. The analytical process continued, as narration described the careful analysis and deduction. All the red strings converged on a shadowy figure, symbolizing the elusive main target. Narration expressed the frustration that, despite all efforts, the main target remained out of reach. The target's name was revealed as Lee San, shown on a shadowy photo tacked to the board. Jang Hyun-soo squeezed a two-toned pill, stating that to reach Lee San, things needed to move much faster. He contemplated, clicking together parts of a small toy figure. Jang Hyun-soo regretted that if the person hadn't been hit by a car, he could have extracted more information from him. The panel showed the sterile, institutional exterior of a modern hospital. A news report announced a hacking incident where illegal footage was broadcast on Hongdae's electronic billboard. Narration reported a snag in the police's investigation into the hacker, causing a man with blonde hair to exclaim in shock. The injured man with blonde hair, bandaged in his hospital bed, furiously cursed the useless cops. He complained about being an innocent victim, stuck in the hacker's mess, while the man with graying hair observed. The man with graying hair smirked, finding the incident interesting, but the man with blonde hair angrily told him to shut up. The man with blonde hair, confused, questioned the hacker's motives, which the man with graying hair claimed ignorance about. Sweating and scared, the man with blonde hair revealed that the hacker had carried a real gun. The man with graying hair questioned how a gun was involved in Korea, to which the man with blonde hair admitted he didn't know. The man with graying hair hummed thoughtfully, his mouth set in a pensive expression. The man with graying hair, with a dismissive smirk, realized the man with blonde hair had no useful information. He expressed disappointment at the lack of useful information, then ominously pulled a syringe from his lab coat, confusing the man with blonde hair. The man with graying hair prepared the syringe, a blood-red liquid filling it, while speaking of the man with blonde hair's role. With a sinister smirk, the man with graying hair injected the syringe, declaring the end of the man with blonde hair's role. The man with blonde hair, angry and confused, demanded to know what the annoying prick had been saying. His eyes wide with fear, the man with blonde hair fearfully questioned if the man with graying hair was truly a doctor. A disturbing close-up showed a blood bag, hinting at the dire situation. The man with blonde hair's eye, wide with terror, desperately sought confirmation. A bright, sunlit hospital room with large windows created a stark contrast to the ominous events unfolding. The man with graying hair smirked over the unconscious man with blonde hair, commenting that the coming events would make an interesting headline. He elaborated on the fabricated story, detailing a tragic death of a major hospital's medical staff due to drug abuse. The man with graying hair delivered the final line of his twisted narrative, his smirk chilling as he held a large syringe. The man with blonde hair, still conscious, reacted with shock and terror to the implications of drug abuse and death. "What kind of crazy bullshit is that?" he screamed, suddenly sitting up in a furious burst. He looked down in shock, realizing he was handcuffed to the hospital bed. The man with blonde hair thrashed frantically, demanding to be untied as the handcuffs rattled violently. Screaming in terror, blood flecking his mouth, the man with blonde hair demanded to know who the man with graying hair was and why this was happening. The man with graying hair calmly acknowledged his lack of introduction, a sinister smirk on his shadowed face. The man with blonde hair writhed in pain as blood oozed from his foresight, while the man with graying hair revealed he was from the organization that hired him. A hand held up a silver coin, engraved with the familiar geometric symbol of the network. The man with graying hair's eyes glowed red as he chillingly named his organization, Network. The man with blonde hair groaned in agony, his face injured and bloody, struggling against an unseen force. He thrashed violently in the bed, his body distorted by the intense struggle. The man with graying hair watched the violent death unfold, recalling how instant death from blood backflow would occur. He injected the syringe into the man with blonde hair's cuffed arm, stating he hadn't felt much when first hearing about instant death. Standing over the deceased man with blonde hair, the man with graying hair found the live experience pretty fascinating. The scene transitioned to a vibrant, bustling city intersection under a bright, clear sky. Ryu Kang-min's eyes burned with intensity as he reminded someone of their 2 p.m. appointment. He held up a business card with the familiar geometric symbol, recalling the promise of a waiting contact. Ryu Kang-min questioned why the meeting spot was deserted. Ryu Kang-min gasped and coughed in surprise, while Jang Hyun-soo, standing some distance away, called out his name. Jang Hyun-soo smirked, running a hand through his hair, as he casually asked if Ryu Kang-min had been waiting long. Ryu Kang-min looked confused by something he couldn't quite grasp, while Jang Hyun-soo declared he was from Network. Ryu Kang-min expressed annoyance at Jang Hyun-soo's lateness, wondering if Korea was still polite, and Jang Hyun-soo, apologetic, explained an urgent matter had delayed him. Ryu Kang-min eyed Jang Hyun-soo suspiciously, asking about the disappearance of yesterday's luxurious mister and the appearance of a student in a hoodie, wondering if it was a pyramid scheme. Jang Hyun-soo denied the pyramid scheme comparison, but Ryu Kang-min was distracted by a beep from a device in Jang Hyun-soo's hand. Jang Hyun-soo promised a luxurious escort, and a high-end car pulled up, surprising Ryu Kang-min. Ryu Kang-min's eye widened in sheer surprise. Jang Hyun-soo smugly declared joining Network his best decision and licked a figurine, tasting success, much to Ryu Kang-min's confusion. Ryu Kang-min nervously gestured towards the luxurious car, suggesting they get in, but Jang Hyun-soo only commented that something was sweet. The luxurious white car sped down a city highway with dynamic speed. Ryu Kang-min screamed in pure excitement from inside the fast-moving car. Ryu Kang-min enthusiastically praised the V12 twin-turbo engine, while Jang Hyun-soo expressed alarm over the danger. Jang Hyun-soo, alarmed, pointed out they were on the highway and warned of a potential crash. Ryu Kang-min nonchalantly dismissed his concerns, smirking that a light bump wouldn't kill them. Jang Hyun-soo grimaced, certain they would surely die at their current speed. He vividly described the gruesome outcome, initial impact throwing them out, shattering skulls and spines. Jang Hyun-soo continued his graphic description, detailing friction burns and massive blood loss from scraping against asphalt. He concluded his horrifying imagery, warning that oncoming cars would then hit them, sucking them under their wheels. Ryu Kang-min, slightly disgusted, remarked on Jang Hyun-soo's morbid description, asking if he studied how people die. Jang Hyun-soo repeated the phrase, "how people die," a mysterious smile playing on his lips. Jang Hyun-soo's knowing smirk and narrowed eyes implied Ryu Kang-min was far more familiar with death than anyone. Ryu Kang-min's jaw tightened, betraying a sudden tension beneath his composed facade. With a nervous smile, Ryu Kang-min dismissed the implication as creepy, denying any knowledge of such things. Jang Hyun-soo smirked, mocking Ryu Kang-min's poor acting skills. Ryu Kang-min tensed, looking forward, as Jang Hyun-soo revealed his codename, Batala's Spade A. Ryu Kang-min's face tightened, his gaze darting sideways, realizing his cover was completely blown. His tense expression remained fixed, absorbing the revelation. Ryu Kang-min reacted with a shocked, "What?" to Jang Hyun-soo's sudden declaration. His eye wide with shock, Ryu Kang-min demanded to know what Jang Hyun-soo had just said. Jang Hyun-soo calmly asked if he should introduce himself first, glancing at his digital watch. He confidently extended his hand for a handshake, introducing himself as the one Ryu Kang-min had been desperately seeking. With a triumphant smirk and glowing red eyes, Jang Hyun-soo revealed his true identity, Lee-san. The man in the suit declared the matter entirely handled. He detailed the previous night's incident, an unauthorized action by an underage member that had caused widespread chaos. All evidence, property damage, fingerprints, bloodstains, CCTV footage, and complaints, had been systematically erased. The female witness, surprisingly unharmed, had her memory wiped clean with drugs. Ryu Kang-min, however, found it hard to believe she emerged unscathed from a scene of flying bullets. The man in the suit launched into a detailed, medical-sounding explanation, dismissing the skepticism with cold precision. His medical jargon was met with silence, prompting a slight, offended query. Ryu Kang-min then challenged him, asking if he sounded convincing, a smirk playing on his face. He revealed his expertise came from medical dramas, a playful confession cut short as the man abruptly decided to continue his report. The man declared he had investigated Ryu Kang-min, a statement punctuated by the click of a camera and Ryu Kang-min's playful, scalpel, gesture. On paper, Ryu Kang-min appeared to be an ordinary high school student. But his records, from administrative to school databases, were completely falsified. An international broker had uncovered his true identity, leading to a startling revelation. He was from the Philippines and was a contract killer. Ryu Kang-min feigned a theatrical surprise at the revelation of his own profession. He scoffed at the idea of a professional killer battling a high schooler, quipping that even a passing pudding would find it laughable. The man in the suit admitted he couldn't believe it either, drawing another sardonic remark from Ryu Kang-min about the pudding. He shut down the joke with a firm no. The ominous truth lay in the organization Ryu Kang-min belonged to, a fact that crackled with danger like a failing light. He was from Batala, a name that struck Ryu Kang-min with genuine, wide-eyed shock. The name echoed in Ryu Kang-min's mind, heavy with unspoken weight, Batala. The man gasped, realizing the full implications, asking if it was that Batala. Ryu Kang-min confirmed it with a sharp yes. A soft click settled the tension, transitioning the moment. The man chuckled, a note of dark admiration in his voice for a member of the Philippines' top contract killing group. A sinister smirk spread across his face as he mused about getting an autograph from Ryu Kang-min. A white car sped along the bright, open road. A young man with dark hair offered a polite introduction, his watch marking the precise moment. Then, with glowing red eyes and a dangerous smirk, the young man revealed his name, Lee-san. The man in the suit's eye narrowed, reflecting deep concern. Lee-san. The name struck him with a jolt of recognition and profound confusion. The target, Lee-san, was a South Korean national residing in Seoul. His eye gleamed with a sudden, intense focus. He stared ahead, lost in determined contemplation. Inside the car, the man in the suit slowly extended his hand. He leaned in, accusing Ryu Kang-min of contemplating his murder, right there, right then. Ryu Kang-min, utterly confident, told him to think logically. He questioned if a Batala contractor would ever arrive unprepared. As their car rumbled forward, Ryu Kang-min confidently stated, of course. He had brought friends, a convoy of black SUVs surrounding them on the road. Ryu Kang-min's stare was a clear warning. Don't even think about trying anything stupid. The man in the suit shifted subtly. Ryu Kang-min then revealed his true designation, Spade A. The man in the suit gasped in stunned realization. He retreated into pensive silence, absorbing the revelation. A grim expression settled on his face. This was bad. The bustling Sikatuna coffee shop, an oasis of casual urban life, sprawled beneath a bright sky. A woman with blonde hair, overlooking a spade-emblazoned envelope, declared they had likely figured it out by now. She explained her sloppy identity laundering was merely a direct order. Hart 3, a hotel Batala casino dealer and support agent, questioned the strategy with genuine concern. She stirred her coffee, the clink of the spoon echoing his own past lesson, make forged identities flawless. With a challenging glint in her eye, she asked, "Isn't it, boss?" She pressed him on the deliberate flaws, wondering if he simply sought an excuse to eliminate an annoying guy, which he flatly denied. He explained the flaws were to force a specific individual to reveal himself, penetrating the organization's inner workings as quickly as possible. This strategy, he declared, was Spade A's call. She smirked thoughtfully, understanding Spade A's calculated move to pique their curiosity and draw them in. The serene blue sky stretched endlessly above. She then asked, with palpable seriousness, what came next. He painted a grim picture. If Lee San's identity was revealed, he would be torn apart, like ants swarming a sugar cube. She gazed out, lost in contemplation. As she handled sugar cubes, he posed a crucial question: do you know how to perfectly deceive someone? With a playful smirk, she mused, a honey trap. He revealed the cunning secret, a spoonful of lies, carefully nestled within the truth. He explained how to mix a single spoonful of lies into 100% pure truth, like a sugar cube dissolving in coffee. The white car remained enveloped by its dark escort, a moving fortress. The man in the suit declared he knew everything, including the true reason Ryu Kang-min came to Korea under a fake identity. He paused, building unbearable tension with a single, pointed word, you. He then hit Ryu Kang-min with a sharp accusation: you're being hunted by Batala, aren't you? He challenged Ryu Kang-min's reckless betrayal and flight from the organization, despite the lure of freedom. Ryu Kang-min's face, unreadable, betrayed nothing of his thoughts. The man sighed, confessing something had infuriated him, prompting an intrigued Ryu Kang-min to demand details. The stage was now perfectly set, a mysterious gaze confirming the grand design. All that remained was to carefully mix a spoonful of lies within the truth. He intended to meticulously reconstruct the events of his life into an entirely new scenario, an intricate plan unfolding like clockwork. He pondered where best to begin his elaborate story. His final mission, eliminating a congressman, was supposed to guarantee his hard-earned retirement. He had dreamt of returning to Korea, of finally embracing true freedom, boarding passes in hand. Instead, an organization member awaited him in Korea, sent to end his life. He finally understood, Batala had never intended to let him go. A quiet click marked the man's deduction: Ryu Kang-min was on the run. The car's interior groaned as the man pressed: if on the run, why hadn't Ryu Kang-min remained hidden? He questioned Ryu Kang-min's desperate need to stand out. Ryu Kang-min explained his conspicuousness was solely to provoke a reaction. He offered a curious analogy: to hide a dog, one should place it in a dog cafe. Batala would eventually come for him, he stated with grim resolve. He needed protection. The delicate pudding waited. The man in the suit, now holding the pudding, mockingly repeated Ryu Kang-min's terms: safety for service. The elegant car clock marked the silent passage of time. The man questioned Ryu Kang-min's high demands from a student organization, prompting a surprised, did I come to the wrong place? The network he knew, he clarified, was different. It was a group of contract killers, he declared, plunging his spoon into the pudding with a decisive thrust. The clink of a spoon punctuated his statement: the underage members were merely a distraction. They were a disposable smokescreen, covering up the true murders. She wondered if Ryu Kang-min's death would be trivialized in headlines, but the man assured her that would never happen. Her arms crossed, she challenged his unexpected confidence. He answered with a rhetorical smirk, hinting at a deeper authority. He then declared his true identity with unwavering confidence: I'm Spade A. The car's dashboard hummed, its digital readouts flashing. The man in the suit acknowledged the implications: Batala's Spade A was joining the network. He mused that it was certainly a sweet offer. But he refused, claiming he'd had enough sweets for now, his expression tinged with frustration. Ryu Kang-min retorted with a sarcastic jab about sugar, cavities, and his fear of dentists. Their convoy continued its swift movement, the white car still encircled. He suspected lies were mixed in, or perhaps ulterior motives drove the man's approach. He paused, preparing to reveal a deeper suspicion. Ryu Kang-min saw it as a poison chalice, a deadly offer masked as opportunity. With a dismissive sound, Ryu Kang-min declared their pleasant chat was over, and it was time to part ways. The man in the suit, mid-pudding, registered utter confusion. Ryu Kang-min, annoyed, demanded honesty, accusing him of talking in circles with pudding and dentist crap, a charge met with feigned confusion. He warned of potential armed conflict with Batala should they attempt to take him in. Ryu Kang-min pressed, sensing fear, "You're scared, aren't you?" The man in the suit noted that a swarm of goons, brought just to meet him, a comment Ryu Kang-min met with a smirk. He sarcastically noted Batala had Ryu Kang-min shaking in his boots, feigning understanding. Ryu Kang-min firmly acknowledged the network's strength, but limited it strictly to Korea. He declared, with intense conviction, that his group would ultimately win. An old Ferris wheel creaked slowly to a halt, groaning under its own weight. A weathered carousel horse stood silently, a relic of forgotten joy. The man in the suit remarked on the changed atmosphere of the amusement park, a place he hadn't seen in 10 years. He questioned if it was Halloween season, unnerved by the eerie, abandoned park. Ryu Kang-min informed him the park had been closed for a very long time. No people, no CCTV cameras, Ryu Kang-min noted, the car rattling to emphasize the desolate isolation. He ominously declared it the perfect spot to dispose of a body, revealing a wrapped, bloodied form in the trunk. Ryu Kang-min calmly admitted his original plan was to kill both him and the person in the trunk, whose body suddenly twitched. The man questioned his past intentions, but Ryu Kang-min, with a smirk and a rustling sound, declared he had changed his mind. Ryu Kang-min recalled one puzzling detail from the report about the man in the suit. The female witness, despite the chaos, had no physical trauma and merely had her memory erased with drugs. Ryu Kang-min repeated his skepticism. How could she emerge without a single scratch from a scene of flying bullets? The narration posited he must have protected her, questioning if it was to avoid involving an external contractor. Eliminating her would have been more efficient, yet he protected her, raising a contradiction with his alleged intention to draw attention. Ryu Kang-min's voice sharpened, asking if he had grown fond of her. The man in the suit offered only silence, his back a wall. He revealed the bound, terrified young woman, this woman. The bound girl struggled, muffled cries escaping her gagged mouth. The man gasped, recognition and shock warring on his face, Choi Ha-yun. The man erupted in shocked disbelief, but Ryu Kang-min merely gestured toward the girl, asking, "Oh, this?" Ryu Kang-min laid out his challenge. He needed to confirm if the man was truly a talented asset in Batala's spade A. Ryu Kang-min caught himself, a smirk playing on his lips as he corrected his words, no. I mean. He then instructed the man, eyes serious, to take a big spoonful of that pudding. With a confident, challenging smirk, Ryu Kang-min offered him a place among them, if he dared. The narration posed a chilling question: would one of the world's top contractors truly be swayed by sentiment? Ryu Kang-min urged him on, well. Go ahead. The man in the suit stared, pensive, at the spoon, the weight of the challenge heavy. Ryu Kang-min emphasized, a big spoonful, her terrified eyes pleading silently. Ryu Kang-min's sinister smirk distorted in the spoon's reflection as he asked, will a family size do? A towering parfait arrived, eliciting an off-panel gasp of surprise. Two men gaped in disbelief, wondering how such a colossal dessert could possibly be consumed. As a phone chimed, the man with tattoos contemplated the overwhelming sweetness, his mind already swimming in sugar. The man with tattoos, frustrated, tried to reach Choi Ha-yun, wondering why she wasn't answering despite insisting on the enormous parfait. Receiving an unavailability message, the tattooed man's worry deepened, wondering if Choi Ha-yun had been kidnapped. An abandoned amusement park loomed under a gloomy sky, a stark symbol of forgotten joy. The man with graying hair presented a spoon to Ryu Kang-min, instructing him to take a significant portion of the pudding. Jang Hyun-soo smiled, the allure of his offer thinly veiling a deeper, more manipulative agenda. An unseen voice questioned the unwavering resolve of a top contractor, challenging him to put aside trivial personal feelings despite the bound woman's clear distress. Ryu Kang-min contemplatively echoed the challenge, the simple phrase loaded with ominous implications. The gagged woman's terrified thoughts wondered if a family-sized portion would even be enough, fearing the true cost of this morbid challenge. Ryu Kang-min maintained his stoic composure, his resolve hardening beneath the surface. A document revealed the mission's primary objective: eliminate Lee San. The target, Lee San, was revealed to be directly in front of the speaker, a fact Jang Hyun-soo's smirk seemed to acknowledge. For Ryu Kang-min, eliminating the man across the table would mean mission accomplished, even as they calmly played cards. Ryu Kang-min's thoughts turned suspicious, questioning if this man was truly Lee San. The chilling possibility that this target was a fake, merely a test, crept into Ryu Kang-min's mind. Ryu Kang-min grimly assessed the situation as a 50-50 gamble, the symbolic cards in his hand reflecting the uncertainty. The grave consequences of eliminating a false target began to solidify in Ryu Kang-min's thoughts. He knew that striking a fake would instantly reveal his intentions, sending the true target into hiding. The gagged woman's desperate gaze amplified Ryu Kang-min's resolve. He could not afford to act recklessly. Ryu Kang-min, his expression calculating, realized he had no choice but to play along with Jang Hyun-soo's game. Jang Hyun-soo observed Ryu Kang-min, noting his sudden lack of energy. Jang Hyun-soo's taunts cut through the air as Ryu Kang-min strained against a car trunk, struggling to open it. Jang Hyun-soo's focused gaze missed nothing, every detail of Ryu Kang-min's struggle absorbed. The bound woman remained unseen, her quiet confinement adding to the tense atmosphere. Jang Hyun-soo, smirking, confirmed Ryu Kang-min's disturbing act, noting the thing they had stabbed was now twitching unpleasantly. The chained woman's face distorted into a grotesque smile as Jang Hyun-soo speculated the wriggling was because it was a fake. Ryu Kang-min questioned Jang Hyun-soo's timing, only for him to calmly state he had known from the very beginning. Jang Hyun-soo explained that perfect disguises could never mask an individual's unique physical essence. Ryu Kang-min's question was abruptly cut short as Jang Hyun-soo casually tested a microphone. Ryu Kang-min looked around in confusion, startled by Jang Hyun-soo's sudden disappearance and disembodied voice. Jang Hyun-soo's amplified voice expressed disappointment over Ryu Kang-min's dull reaction to his surprise. Jang Hyun-soo confirmed the person was a fake, an imposter disguised as Ryu Kang-min's friend. The chained woman looked up in despair as Jang Hyun-soo dramatically revealed her true identity as a contractor and a member of the network. Jang Hyun-soo clarified her status, specifying she was a former member, an unsettling glint in her chained eyes. The chained woman's face stretched grotesquely as Jang Hyun-soo branded her a traitor. The desolate Ferris will continue to loom, a silent observer over the unfolding drama. Her chains rattling, the traitor questioned her captor's motives for making her play such a part. The chained blonde man, identified as Lee Daniel, smirked, mockingly asking if his capture was for a surprise party, despite his dark history of civilian murder and desertion from the network. Ryu Kang-min, ever suspicious, sensed an ulterior motive behind the sudden appearance of these traitors. Jang Hyun-soo's amplified voice lauded Ryu Kang-min's unwavering sharpness. Jang Hyun-soo revealed their shared predicament: both Ryu Kang-min and the chained man were targets of the organization. Jang Hyun-soo announced a resurrection match, sparking an intriguing smirk from the blonde man. Jang Hyun-soo's sinister smile conveyed the deadly terms of the resurrection match, a fight to the death, with the victor joining his ranks. The amplified voice of Jang Hyun-soo built anticipation for the coming confrontation. Jang Hyun-soo's command to begin was instantly followed by a powerful whoosh of movement around Ryu Kang-min. A car was violently smashed into the ground, its impact narrowly dodged by the agile blonde man. The chained blonde man, undeterred, observed the destruction with an unsettling appreciation. He marveled at the perfectly symmetrical destruction, calling it a beautiful decalcomania. The blonde man admired the crushed car as a perfect artistic decoration, leaving Ryu Kang-min bewildered. Declaring himself an artist who kills, the blonde man attacked with a forceful whoosh of chains. The blonde man's chains ensnared Ryu Kang-min, turning him into a canvas for his grim art. The blonde man triumphantly boasted of transforming corpses into high-level art pieces for the world to admire. As Ryu Kang-min knelt, possibly injured, the blonde man vividly recalled a past piece with exceptional saturation. The blonde man's face twisted into a psychotic smile as he casually revealed his use of victims' families as decor. Ryu Kang-min's face contorted in disgust, realizing the blonde man didn't just kill innocents but desecrated their remains. Ryu Kang-min's grip tightened on the steering wheel, his fury escalating at the blonde man's depravity. Declaring the blonde man an artistic psycho, Ryu Kang-min retaliated with a fierce whoosh of chains, catching his opponent off guard. The blonde man registered surprise and a fresh injury, a trickle of blood marking his face. As Ryu Kang-min pulled him with chains, the blonde man grinned, tauntingly accepting the insult as a compliment. The blonde man struggled in his chains, dismissively stating Ryu Kang-min couldn't understand an artist's true needs. As Ryu Kang-min's chains struck, the blonde man insisted an artist required a flexible mind. The blonde man smirked, provocatively comparing an artist's flexibility to the graceful movements of a woman. Ryu Kang-min's face hardened with serious intent, ready for his next move. With a fierce whoosh of chains, Ryu Kang-min declared he would now explain the art piece he would create from the blonde man. As chains clanked and joints cracked, Ryu Kang-min graphically detailed his plan to render and bleach the blonde man's body, transforming him into a macabre symbol of a contractor's withered humanity. Ryu Kang-min prepared for the final, impactful, finishing touch of his gruesome artwork. Ryu Kang-min declared he would impale the blonde man on a pole, a chilling representation of stolen freedom. The blonde man, still smirking, feigned curiosity about Ryu Kang-min's artistic explanation. The blonde man taunted Ryu Kang-min, mockingly asking if his grand artwork amounted to a carousel horse. Ryu Kang-min found the comparison to a carousel horse amusing as the chained blonde man confidently walked toward him. The blonde man clenched his chained fist, gathering his strength for a counterattack. Ryu Kang-min's eye widened in sudden surprise, cut short in his thoughts. Ryu Kang-min furiously rejected the cheap comparison, unleashing his chains with a powerful, swirling attack. The surrounding carousel horses were violently smashed and crushed under the force of the attack. The blonde man walked away, chains rumbling behind him, seemingly unfazed by the destruction. The blonde man arrogantly dismissed Ryu Kang-min's art as mere chunks of metal and plastic, claiming his own was on an entirely different level. Ryu Kang-min, confused, questioned the blonde man's disdain for common materials. The blonde man's face contorted in furious rage, his chains whooshing menacingly as he warned Ryu Kang-min to watch his mouth. Ryu Kang-min stood defiant, chains swirling around his raised arm as he began to define a true artist. He knelt, his gaze determined, asserting that a true artist never blamed their materials. The blonde man's eyes registered confusion as Ryu Kang-min prepared to demonstrate his point. Ryu Kang-min's chains swirled as he declared he would now show the blonde man. The blonde man cried out in surprise as he was violently struck by a barrage of unseen impacts. Despite the forceful impacts, the blonde man smirked, dismissively calling the crude attack predictable and cliché. The blonde man looked utterly confused as another impact landed with a decisive thud. Ryu Kang-min smirked, challenging the blonde man to evaluate his work. The blonde man realized he was trapped within a complex, magic circle, of chains, which Ryu Kang-min dramatically named, Ninth Circle, Meteor. Standing among the carousel's wreckage, Ryu Kang-min explained he had transformed the sorrow of the dead horses into the very magic circle that now bound his opponent. Despite his chains rattling as he struggled, the blonde man grimaced, declaring Ryu Kang-min's words childish nonsense, but insisting the true artistic value was just beginning. The blonde man rattled his chains in frustrated struggle, finding the pole immovably bolted down. Ryu Kang-min looked up with a smug smirk, anticipating the impending impact. Ryu Kang-min uttered, "Meteor," and the blond man looked up in sudden, confused surprise at a descending object. The blond man's mouth hung slightly open in bewildered confusion as the object neared. A powerful, earth-shattering crash erupted, sending debris flying in all directions. The calm, gray sky hung ominously over the aftermath. Inside a damaged structure, shattered glass and debris lay scattered, a testament to the destruction. The blond man lay amidst the debris, defiant even in defeat, expressing disgust and pity for Ryu Kang-min's definition of art. With an ominous clench of his hand, Ryu Kang-min declared he would kindly teach the blond man. Ryu Kang-min promised to reveal art's true beauty as the injured blond man struggled to rise, his joints creaking in pain. The blond man, bloodied and confused, suddenly barked, catching Ryu Kang-min by surprise. The source of the barking was revealed to be a squeaking dog toy at Ryu Kang-min's foot. The blond man's wide, bloodied eyes reflected utter bewilderment at the sight of a dog toy. Ryu Kang-min dismissively apologized for the squeaking toy, then mockingly asked the injured blond man what he had just said. Ryu Kang-min explained he had been gathering tools in a gift shop, emerging with a glowing magical girl wand. The injured blond man, his eye glinting with determination, declared his own rule, an eye for an eye, art for art. With a deliberate click, the blond man pressed a button on his own magical girl wand, echoing Ryu Kang-min's previous actions. Holding up the now glowing wand, a maniacal grin on his face and a tiara on his head, the blond man asked if art was better when it was flashier. Ryu Kang-min's serious eye, reflecting a new resolve, declared it was time to start again. Ryu Kang-min, now wearing a tiara and holding his own magical girl wand, smirked, ready to engage with blinding brilliance. The whimsical magical staff, adorned with hearts and wings, awaited its moment. The staff shimmered to life with a magical chime. Ryu Kang-min, tiara-clad, declared his whimsical weapon could annihilate evil, boasting its many features. Jang Hyun-soo, still bleeding, scoffed at the childish display. He questioned Ryu Kang-min's choice of weapon, but Ryu Kang-min countered that a true master never blamed their tools. Jang Hyun-soo mockingly disagreed, arguing that greater masters felt more acutely about their instruments as tearing sounds began. He continued his thought about renowned artists and their unique implements. Jang Hyun-soo then revealed his custom tool, manipulating red threads with practiced ease. Ryu Kang-min grimaced in disgust, questioning the fabric's origin, but Jang Hyun-soo insisted it was no ordinary material. Ryu Kang-min watched in surprise as Jang Hyun-soo described his delicate yet sharp fabric now swirling around him. He observed the sliced remnants of toys and a bottle, then a special thread demonstrating its unexpected cutting power. Ryu Kang-min registered the sharp realization, the threads had effortlessly severed the display sculpture. He understood these threads were indeed far from ordinary, as Jang Hyun-soo skillfully entangled him. Jang Hyun-soo's eyes narrowed, signaling his intent. He threatened to sculpt Ryu Kang-min next, tightening the red threads around him. But Ryu Kang-min countered, raising his glowing staff. Ryu Kang-min unleashed a prism heart bubble attack, engulfing Jang Hyun-soo. Jang Hyun-soo cried out, the bubbles stinging his eyes. Ryu Kang-min, delighted by the unexpected effect, vowed to continue wiping out evil with his holy bubbles. Jang Hyun-soo grimaced, frantically wiping the irritating bubbles from his eyes. Annoyed by the cheap chemicals, Jang Hyun-soo looked around in confusion, realizing something was amiss. He panicked, wondering where Ryu Kang-min had vanished, fearing he had fled. Ryu Kang-min considered his next move. He acknowledged Jang Hyun-soo's undeniable mastery of weapons, even as he held his own staff. Jang Hyun-soo seamlessly switched between heavy chain strikes and precise thread cuts, showcasing an advanced, dual combat style. But for all his skill, Jang Hyun-soo lacked basic tactical fieldcraft, oblivious in the open. Ryu Kang-min, hidden, revealed he had been assessing his opponent's level all along. He decided it was time to end the engagement, targeting Jang Hyun-soo in the distance. Then, Ryu Kang-min's eyes widened in sudden surprise. He spotted a peculiar sight, a large teddy bear bound intricately with red threads, questioning its purpose. A red thread was suddenly taut around Ryu Kang-min's own shoulder. Ryu Kang-min, still noticing the teddy bear, questioned its sudden appearance. Jang Hyun-soo appeared beside him, smirking, correcting Ryu Kang-min on his eyesore comment and further ensnaring him. Ryu Kang-min swiftly reacted, turning to face the unexpected proximity. He swung his staff, attempting to strike Jang Hyun-soo, who skillfully evaded the blow. Jang Hyun-soo casually revealed the teddy bear was merely a training dummy. He declared his intention to create a masterpiece from Ryu Kang-min. With a sinister smirk, Jang Hyun-soo announced his finishing move, readying his threads. Suddenly, a new magical sound surprised Jang Hyun-soo, making him question its source. Jang Hyun-soo looked shocked as Ryu Kang-min unleashed a prism silent guillotine. The air tore with the force of the devastating attack. Ryu Kang-min challenged Jang Hyun-soo, demanding a reaction to the power. Jang Hyun-soo screamed in terror and agony as a fatal wound appeared on his throat. Ryu Kang-min sternly questioned Jang Hyun-soo's continued talk of art and masterpieces, even in the face of death. Jang Hyun-soo gasped, a pained sound escaping his wounded throat. Jang Hyun-soo stumbled backward, screaming as he collapsed, critically wounded, while Ryu Kang-min watched on. Ryu Kang-min looked down, his expression unreadable, contemplating the outcome of his strike. The corroded structure of an old amusement park ride creaked ominously above. The derelict arcade building, Arcade Zone, stood grimly beneath a broken ride and cloudy sky. Inside, the abandoned arcade lay dark, filled with outdated machines and eerie silence. Ryu Kang-min thoughtfully surveyed the dim, forgotten space. He observed the blood and threads on the floor, remarking on Jang Hyun-soo's desperate escape. Ryu Kang-min mused on the raw fear of death, noting the trail of threads and blood. Jang Hyun-soo gasped for breath, his injuries evident beneath a crude, bloody bandage. Ryu Kang-min lectured Jang Hyun-soo about the slow decay of iron structures and the relentless passage of time. He continued his grim philosophy, asserting that death inexorably drew life into its embrace. Jang Hyun-soo knelt, defeated and entangled, as Ryu Kang-min delivered a fatalistic pronouncement about life and death. Jang Hyun-soo, confused, questioned Ryu Kang-min's sudden philosophical turn. He sarcastically asked if Ryu Kang-min had switched careers, as Ryu Kang-min walked closer. Ryu Kang-min, a red thread taut at his neck, corrected him, this was inspiration. He explained his sudden realization while confronting his own mortality. Instead of being pulled by death, Ryu Kang-min sought to control it, pulling it towards himself. The exterior of the arcade zone loomed, dominated by the decaying amusement park ride. The rusty mechanisms of the ride creaked loudly, protesting their age and instability. Ryu Kang-min pondered actively inviting death, as the ride continued its ominous protests. He stood victorious over the injured Jang Hyun-soo, surrounded by the intricate, bloody web of threads. Ryu Kang-min dismissed Jang Hyun-soo's philosophical ramblings as delirium from blood loss. Jang Hyun-soo defied him, subtly manipulating the red threads with manic determination. He continued, stating that from this moment forward, Ryu Kang-min would be trapped. Jang Hyun-soo declared Ryu Kang-min's inescapable fate, revealing the entire arcade floor covered in a dense web of red threads. Ryu Kang-min's feet were completely ensnared by the tenacious red threads. Jang Hyun-soo struggled, using his remaining strength to tighten the threads, groaning in effort. He passionately proclaimed the red thread web to be his posthumous work. Severely wounded and coughing blood, Jang Hyun-soo screamed that this was his greatest masterpiece. Jang Hyun-soo, his eyes wild, asked if Ryu Kang-min could hear it. He described a massive, rusted iron structure, unbalanced by mere threads, beginning to fall. Ryu Kang-min struggled against the surprisingly tough threads, realizing he was completely immobilized. Jang Hyun-soo, with a philosophical intensity, described their struggle as an inescapable spiderweb of fate between killers. He pondered the inherent futility of their deadly dance. Then, Jang Hyun-soo concluded his thought, revealing the entire amusement park ride was collapsing onto the arcade. Ryu Kang-min reacted with utter shock, witnessing the massive structure's descent. Jang Hyun-soo, reaching out, announced the dramatic title of his final creation. He smiled peacefully, despite his pain, revealing the masterpiece's name, Embracing Death. Jang Hyun-soo and Ryu Kang-min were locked in a final, intimate embrace, entangled by the red threads, as the arcade slowly crumbled around them. Debris began to fall, signaling the ongoing collapse of the structure. The arcade continued to buckle and break, light pouring through the widening cracks. The scene shifted to a vivid sunset, casting hues of orange and red across the sky. The ruined amusement park lay in the warm sunset glow, a testament to the destruction. A young man surveyed the destroyed area with surprised curiosity. He expressed disbelief that the arcade had vanished entirely. The young man observed the arcade, now reduced to dust, as he spoke. The wider landscape revealed the full extent of the ruin under the sunset sky. The young man contemplated the choice to embrace death in a fight for survival. He concluded his thoughts on art, admitting its profound difficulty to comprehend. The young man then addressed Ryu Kang-min, who was casually standing nearby, alive and well. Ryu Kang-min dismissed the thought, joking that lighting a cigarette was harder, then offered the young man candy instead of a light. The young man informed Ryu Kang-min that he had completed the task as instructed. Ryu Kang-min acknowledged the young man's perfect execution of his orders. With a sinister smirk, Ryu Kang-min instructed the young man to scoop out that pudding to join their ranks. A magic cupcake stand appeared in the amusement park, a whimsical facade. A closer look revealed the stand's peculiar sign. The young man commented on the delicious-looking items at the stand. He then referred to Jang Hyun-soo, now a human-like figure wrapped in red threads, being scooped by a giant spoon as pudding. Jang Hyun-soo weakly mumbled about his posthumous work and art, still entangled and in pain. The young man triumphantly declared that Ryu Kang-min had passed his test. He offered Ryu Kang-min protection from the network, in exchange for something. The young man continued outlining the conditions for this protection. He promised Ryu Kang-min that he would eliminate anyone who needed to be killed, without worry. The young man's eye narrowed, revealing a hidden, chilling intensity. Ryu Kang-min, smirking confidently, accepted the chilling offer. A few days later, the narrative advanced. Ryu Kang-min wondered why he hadn't been contacted, fearing his job offer might have been rescinded. He pressed buttons on a keypad, deciding he would just watch short videos instead. Ryu Kang-min, breaking the fourth wall, gave a confident thumbs up. A dimly lit living room appeared, quiet and unassuming. Ryu Kang-min's eyes glowed red, signaling his sudden awareness of an intruder.